Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We are your hosts. I am Joe.
And I'm Randy.
This is episode 56 of our podcast, and the date is Friday, October 8th, 2021. Friday, we are recording a different day because life can suck.
Yes. It should be, we should be able to do all things geek that we want all the time.
And precisely when we want. But
correct. And never have to adjust and just say, dude, I'm playing D&D. It's 4:00 in the afternoon. I need you to quit delivering mail. I'm going to leave the middle of my class and we're going to play D&D for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And if I feel like it, I may not go back tomorrow.
Right. Ever. Right. So you got to play yesterday.
I did, dude. Yeah, it was pretty fun. I think again, some life things are affecting my full enjoyment of the game. You know what I'm talking about. I won't go into those details of private, but I still had some really interesting things I wanted to talk about, and I got to talk kind of abstractly because I want to run you and your wife and Patrick and his wife and possibly Greg T do another session of this. And they did not finish the adventure, so I'll probably do that group again, and you guys may need 2 sessions as well. It was a little longer than I thought. That's pretty standard for me. But there are some things I want to talk about, but I got to talk kind of in an abstract way because I don't want to give anything away. I did get a good test, but when we get to the sling and mud portion, I'll talk more in details about it. It was fun, but it was yeah. So I think I'll need some input. So
all right, sounds good. Yeah. We couldn't commit because of various things, and my wife is ill. I was kind of not feeling good the very beginning of the week, but
yeah, it happens. I thought I was going to have to cancel, but that worked out.
Yeah. All right. So shall we get into our one call-in?
Yeah. Sweet one.
Let's see.
It's funny they don't one call in. I wonder if we're getting boring. Well, I know I haven't been a good anchorite and call into shows, even when I thought they had good podcasts. I need to get focused on that. I've just been I'm listening to podcasts. I'm just not commenting. So
well, there's a lot of people on the Anchor. Like there's a Discord. I go to Audio Dungeon Discord, and it has a lot of the anchorites that we listen to on it. And anchorites, for those who don't know, are podcasters who use the Anchor app to, at the very least, distribute. A lot of them use it for other things. And anyway, the Audio Dungeon Discord, a lot of them were saying they were behind and whatnot on listening and leaving messages, except for John Allen Large, who said he finally got around to it and left us a message.
Right. Well, he did last time too. I think I just want the guys to know I haven't forgot them. I got a handful of folks I like to call into, and I want to get to that. So Jason.
Right. And I raised a ruckus on Jason's podcast and on the Audio Dungeon Discord as well.
Of course you did.
All I did was state an opinion, which wasn't popular.
There you go.
What can you do?
Well, I guess we're going to be the rebels of the anchorites.
Anyway, it's no big deal. So I'm going to do this.
I guess I ought to get on that Audio Dungeon Discord, give you a little support. So there are 2 of us that have bad ideas.
I'll throw you an invite.
All right.
Share one. Share.
I think Joe is doing his magic.
I am.
The scenes.
I'm twiddling my fingers and mumbling words of power.
Arcane power. All right.
Go.
Oh, hold on. I think there's some other ones by Jason. Did he talk about low decks? Is that from last? I don't think that's from last time. The one that says low decks thief.
Oh, okay. Straight down the line, you may be right. So it might be those 3.
We got a couple more, dude.
Okay.
I wish I had a date on there.
Anchor's stupid.
I mean, we love you, Anchor.
Oh,
Hey guys, busy morning, so I haven't been able to just burn through your podcast. I'm slowly working my way through as I can. When I talk about Low Decks Thief and early versions of the game, I'm talking about pre-Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, first edition versions of the game. You're right, even in first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, your decks will affect your thief abilities. But when you look at like the Holmes version, for example, of Basic, it doesn't. So in the Holmes version, your prime rec, in this case your dex, having a low dex would affect, it give a negative percentage to your experience points. But the only thing dex modifies in Holmes Basic is to hit with missile weapons. So a low dex thief would have -1 to hit with their missile weapons, but that's it. That is the only negative they get, aside from, having a penalty of experience points for the prime rec. So you could roll, you could say, I want to play a thief, and if you had a low dex.
You got a second one.
Whoops, I don't know if I sent that last message or not. I hope I didn't. But anyway, that's where I was going with that, because that low dex thief, it doesn't hurt anything but the experience points, which they have a lower experience points than everybody else anyway, so they're going to advance pretty quick. And a minus to hit with missile weapons, which again shouldn't be a big deal. So you could easily have a 3 or a 6 or a 7 in your decks and be a good thief. There's a call I tried to delete, so I don't know if you got it. If you got a call about me saying it doesn't affect magic users, you could play Astute Magic User, it does affect the spells magic user gets, even in Holmes BX. But in the case of the thief, it wouldn't matter.
Well, of course it affects the magic user, because we need to screw him every time.
yeah.
He needs to be on. But so yeah, I guess so I get the point there. I would say that if you have it's kind of weird that your low dex wouldn't affect your thiefly skills, but you could also be an intelligent thief. I mean, you could be someone that just, but a 3 dexterity, gosh, you would be a bumbling idiot.
Sure.
But I guess that was not thought about back in the day. Really, stats didn't mean all that much back in Moldvay in early days. I mean, actually, original OD&D, the best you can get is +1 from an 18.
Yeah. I think it's weird, though, if you're a clumsy thief. If you have a 3, it's not just you don't get bonuses. You're going to be noticeably clumsy. You're going to drop things and unsteady, no balance. And I'm the thief, but I can't stay on my feet very well, and I can't hold things in my hands very well, and it just seems weird. I mean,
Moldvay was not was Eric J. Holmes, that version of the first basic set that came out after the white box. I have a PDF version of that, and Holmes clearly, he kept referencing the white box. So they all looked back at it. And I think in the white box, Joe, I think really the original designer said the numbers, I'm not sure why they picked 3 to 18, because I think they really mechanically just thought of characters below average, average, or above average. That's it. And
it may also just be from the point of view that it was the first iteration and they didn't think of it.
Correct. Yeah, it didn't cross their mind. They're like, who cares?
Yeah.
A 3 is a 7, is a 3 is a 6, is a 5, is a 4, is a 3, is a 2, it's a 8. Who cares?
Yeah. There's 18 numbers, but really when it comes down to it, you only have a 5% difference of success. I mean, I don't know why they didn't think of it, but
yeah, it makes you wonder why they didn't go 1, 2, 3. Now strength is 3, meaning that'd be the number you'd use, because basically there's only 3 delineations. But yeah, Jason, he's got a point in terms of thinking meta wise, which we were talking about. It's not the end of the world to play a 3 dex thief in that game. There's no check below the ability score rules, so go for it. That, of course, if there was, that would be a point to make it a drawback.
Yeah, that was never a rule. That was mostly a house rule that folks introduced. That kind of was why,
I want to say it didn't become an actual rule till didn't we see it the first time in the books, like in the Dungeoneer or Wilderness Survival Guides just before 2E? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Do you have either one of those books? The Dungeoneer Survival Guide?
Had at one point had the Dungeoneer Survival Guide.
I had everything,
but I don't remember the rules from it. It's been a long time.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Thanks, Jason. That is interesting.
Right.
Hey guys, it's John here from the Red Dice Diaries. Just listening to the end of your The Con Game episode. Loving all the talk about Cabin Con. I've got to say I'm a little bit jealous, guys. I may have to see if I can round up some folk that I game with in the UK and see if we can do our own version of it over here at some point, at least when things get a little bit more back to normal. I'm also glad you liked the episode I did on the con drain / level drain. And yeah, I think it works really well. If for no other reason than, as you were saying, Joe, it's an absolute ball ache having to do all the recalculating of things due to losing a level like midway through a session, whereas con is a lot easier to do. It also makes the undead who have this drain a lot more dangerous in the short term, but without the sort of long-lasting dragging on effects or the slog of having to work your way back up through those levels. Enjoying the episode, guys. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, and I remember wrestling with that idea, John, back in first edition near the end. And Joe knows I love me some undead, and I really didn't care how bad they screwed the players over. In fact, I kind of enjoyed it. That might have been why I liked the undead.
Right, especially the energy drain.
Ha. Here's 5 levels. Here's 6 taken away. Look at that.
Now, I remember in when third edition, one of the things we liked about third edition is instead of you removing levels, you just took a penalty of 1 for each of your negative levels to your rolls and such, which is a lot easier than erasing your level and changing your experience point total and then recalculating everything based on your new level and whatnot.
Mechanically, that was I believe in 3, though, you did lose your highest spell you had memorized.
Something like that.
You had to roll a hit dice. You rolled a hit die worth of hit points of damage you would lose.
Right. On top of whatever damage.
Whatever they hit. So it'd be extra damage. So I think it was more of a less fiddly, but still a little bit. Little bit, but not as bad as the original. I really like the con drain, and I think it'll still be scary. When you're con trained, we're thinking of absconding with that rule in Mudsword and allowing them to recover 1 point per day by natural means, and then more if they get access to a
magic
lawgiver / cleric magic.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for those calls.
Yeah.
Not a lot this week in calls, but we have a lot to talk about in gaming news.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll just go with that.
Yeah, it's a mixture of stuff. It's probably going to be a little on the ranty side more than normal, even, I think.
A little, because a lot of that crap out there sucks.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sucky crap. Okay, so this first one you got here is Big Bad Toy Store. They've got WizKids, probably in conjunction with Wizards, because it's branded for D&D. Let's see, Jewy Blex.
Yep.
I always had a dyslexic moment with that word. I always transposed the B and the I and called it Jubilex.
We did that. We all did. And it was probably my fault because I was the first to use it. I mean, I remember that was one of the premier, when I say premier Demon Lords, what I mean was its name appeared in the modules.
Right.
Along with, after Orcus and then the Archdevil Asmodeus, probably Orcus more common. Then there was Demogorgon. And then after that, you got kind of Zugtamoy from Temple of Mental Evil. And then you get a comment about how I think Zugtamoy and Juiblex were kind of enemies back in the early days. And they're both Abyssal Demon Lords. You know what bugs me about this? I mean, it's a cool looking slime dude, and it's a huge figure. That doesn't bug me. It's the stupid price tag.
Yeah.
It's a piece of crap. Here's what I mean. For the price, it's garbage.
Right.
I don't even know. I guess I can because they're businesses, but how WizKids could put that out and put a $62 or $63.
It's $69.
It's $69, a $70 price tag.
Yeah.
I paid less than that. I got it used like $58 or $60. You've seen that Undead Draco Lich I have that's huge.
Yes.
That is like that's almost automatically darn near the best figure I have. It is so incredible for a pre-painted mini. That's a $70 premium figure. That is one. I mean, it's still high, but I mean, like, you're like, okay, I get it. You're not getting that for $20.
Right.
But that stupid Jewelblex, I don't care. I mean, what kind of detail can you do with the slime? I'm sure they could say, well, look, there's some shading. It's a little lighter green on one side, dark green. They got little eyeballs. Come on. It's a slime, dude.
It has a mouth.
Oh, does it? How exciting.
That probably makes it worth it.
That's what it is. And I get it. It might take some time, but I'm just not impressed. Not impressed, and would not drop $70 for that.
Yeah, for those of you who are just listening, which is probably most of you, the figure, we're going to have a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
But the figure is a slime, essentially, with eyes and a couple of eye stalks.
Can you share can you share your screen for that?
Let's see. Yeah.
Folks might be able to see it and see just how not $70 worth it is. It might be price tag wise, time wise, but I mean, poor design, in my opinion, for a premium figure. Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah. Look at that. That's a piece of crap.
Does it show the bigger one now?
Yeah, it's showing their screen. That is like, come on. Hold on. I wish I could grab.
They have it in use.
What?
I'm scrolling through the pictures on the side.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
And well, there's some dungeon dressing at its feet, some bricks or whatever.
Yeah, that might be part of the deal. I didn't notice that. Okay, so maybe you pay 30 for it. I mean,
it's a blob.
That's my point. I mean, I don't get that. I mean, and I understand it.
Because they can. That's because they can.
People will buy it.
It's Jewelblex. It's branded, and
right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Joe, when I heard it, I was like, I think Silent Josh told me about it. I was like, dude, I got to check this out. I'm kind of into the premium figures. I try to get them in the secondhand market. And I was like, yeah, I'm not paying for that. If I got that for 20, I would buy it, but I'll never get it for 20. So
let's see. Does it say its dimensions on here?
It might.
No.
I think does it say it's a huge figure? It's probably 8 inches tall. So, but no way. I get it. It's
supposed to be 20. Oh, no, 20-foot hill. Anyway.
Yeah, there's no way. I would rather them have made him smaller and maybe have some pseudopods shooting up to look a little taller than the average large figure, and charge $20 or put him in a box, a random box, so you could buy him individually. Yeah. I don't know. It just doesn't. Why are you wasting a premium figure on that kind of crappy sculpt? And
because they can.
I know, and I guess this is one thing I do like. I love the painted minis, but I don't buy them too often. I always look for the premium ones. And I just find the concept horrible. I'm sorry. Probably just going on a little rant. I knew I was going to go on a rant. So for that price, I just can't do it. Even if you could show me the numbers that say, look, we put this much money into plastic, this much for the artist, this is standard rate. I'm like, okay, horrible concept. I just wouldn't pay for a blob. I could 3D print that. Well, I could 3D print that from my toilet. Sorry, that's gross. You get that? Yeah, baby.
Especially if you ate some, corn would work, but
that's not corn. Corn might get the eyeballs in there.
Might be.
We're going down a gross. Sorry, guys. I could personally 3D print that.
We're going to be talking about something some folks might say is gross next anyway.
Yep.
So the next one is apparently they want to make Superman gay.
Well, that was a little
side story.
No, that's when you say, oh, Superman's going to be gay. Yeah, sort of. It's the new Jonathan Kent, long story after Rebirth and New 52. The Superman that's on the current universe, main universe Earth, is that's Jonathan Kent. It's the son of Lois and Clark. Rumor has it, for some reason, obviously because they did Tim Drake, I guess they got to do him. He's going to be gay, has a boyfriend, but which, I mean, on one hand, I'm like, okay, that's a relatively new character. I knew nothing about Jonathan Kent when I read comics back in the day, when I read them more consistently. And I was like, okay, first, it's okay, but they're going to kill off Superman and he's going to become the Superman. and so essentially they're finding it really, because they couldn't. I mean, if they turned Clark Kent gay, I think even people that were pro all these crazy identity representative comic books would be like, that's literally the dumbest. I mean, anybody with any sense whatsoever would say that is the dumbest idea ever. No one would buy that. So they're going with the son, but they're going to get rid of the dad. So then Superman, you see, so then the Superman can be gay. That's what they're doing.
He's not Superman though.
No, but he's going to be, because I think they're going to kill off Superman.
Yeah, but then he's not really Superman.
He's the new Superman.
He's a replacement. He can call himself something else, but he's not.
They'll call him Superman, and he'll get his own title, and they'll call it that.
He's too skinny. Look at that guy.
Well, he's a
He's
boy.
not Superman.
He's a high school boy.
He's just wuss altogether.
Well, the whole thing is ridiculous, but whatever. At least, and I'll give him this. I mean, I've complained about it before. At least it's a new character, relatively new. He's been around for a while. I mean, not that I've been reading it, but since like Rebirth and New 52. So whatever. But I mean, it's a I don't know.
I don't know. Is this little strip that I'm showing here? Is it just for this article, or
no? I believe it's actually it's an issue coming out October 2nd. I think that's a panel from it, I believe.
Because it looks really emo from the.
Well, yeah. I mean, you should. I told you my experience going to a comic store not too long ago. And I love my local comic store owner. He's a great dude. Even he doesn't read comics past the 80s.
Right. Because for a good reason.
Well, I don't think his is the same as mine, but the truth is, I mean, he's got a point. I think there's good comics in the 90s, but you get past 2000, maybe the 2010s, you're hunting. I went to a small convention a couple of weeks ago. Oh, and I bought some, on a side note, trying to support some independent artists. They were kind of crap. I read the books. They were not very good.
From where?
From some local guy. I don't want to name him. I don't want to blast him because they make valiant efforts, but I just didn't. One was a local Michigan guy. One was from, I think, New York, and I bought some of the stuff, and it was really cool to see all the independent artists there and a lot of local people. And I've made a commitment to try to support some of those. I'm reading stuff from archaven.com. That's where Chuck Dixon is at. I listened to his interview with Eric July, and
that was a good interview.
He's got some good stuff. Archaven, there's some weird titles, but when you start reading the free stuff that's online, it's pretty good. I'm probably going to buy some of the comics.
Have you looked at Comicsgate artists yet, or comics?
Yes, I have some on the Indiegogo. I need to make a decision on Graham Nolan's Alamo one. I kind of want. It's kind of a Cthulhu Western, and so I'm leaning towards that.
Frog.
Yeah, Cyber Frog by Eric Scrivener or something, I think.
Yeah.
Conceptually, I don't get it. The art's beautiful, but I think I heard Max Leow over at Legion of Myth. He said he's got them. It's beautiful art. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of 90s style image art, which I loved. And it was really, big dudes, pretty sexy women being super fighty superhero stuff. And I was like, it was really actiony. And I liked that style of art. I mean, I remember seeing Spawn #1 was the reason back in,
Spawn
graduate school is when I started reading comics again. I saw that on a rack at Kroger and said, I have to have that.
Right.
Just beautiful. So Todd McFarlane. But yeah, archaven.com, I would encourage you. You can read tons of free comics there.
Oh, cool.
They're there for you to read it. And then you can buy them after you've read, 6 issues. Some of them are like 6 panels, but like Chuck Dixon has like 30 or 40 mini issues on there. So they're telling. So I'm excited. I would definitely promote archaven.com.
I hadn't heard of that one yet. That's cool.
Yeah. Eric July had pointed that out. But back to this one. Okay, so I'm going to give him kudos. In the end, kudos. You picked a character that's relatively new. He could be gay if you want him to be. But you're essentially, if what I'm reading is true, if they kill Superman this year and then replace him with Jonathan Kent, that's a cheese move.
Yeah, it's just it's a way to make Superman gay without making Superman gay, because Jonathan Kent's not Superman. He can wear the suit all he wants, but he's not Superman.
Right, exactly.
Clark Kent's Superman.
It'll always be Clark. You got it.
I hate this mantle crap. It's a mantle. It's a mantle. It's just call him something else. It's not much different from just making Superman gay. It's just a roundabout way of doing it.
I mean, Dick Grayson They talked about that. He's made comments at one point in his young life as the original Robin. I think he envisioned himself as eventually becoming the Bat. And then when he broke away and became his own guy, someone had mentioned that to me. He's like, I'm Nightwing. I'm not Batman. And granted, he's a lot like Batman. He can't help it. He was trained since he was like 14. You know, so he fights like him. He knows a lot of the skills that he has. He's just Batman Jr., which he's a good character actually. But yeah, I don't mantle thing. I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah,
the world needs a Batman.
Well,
maybe.
if you there might be some out there that maybe one or two that are a mantle, like with Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes,
mantle is a title, but Doctor Strange is not.
Spawn is a mantle. There's different spawns throughout the ages.
Correct, and they said that's part of
that's part of it. Yeah,
of the lore. But Superman's not that way. Batman's not that way.
Not really.
Most of them are not that way. Spider-Man's definitely not a mantle.
A Green Lantern might be. The Green Lantern,
right? Because you have to wear a ring.
And every sector of space, is granted a Green Lantern to protect it.
Right.
So
or some other color.
Right. Yeah. Well, they went crazy with that. Oh my god.
Yeah. Lots of colors.
And fire and black and white and yellow and purple and green.
Black.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They were like the bad. No one knew about the Black Lanterns. They were trapped somewhere in some alternate dimension, and they got free, and they were super bad dudes.
Oh, that's like the.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I've not read Blackest Night yet. I've got a collection of it. That's supposed to be pretty good. There was some really good Green Lantern comics in the mid 90s.
Right. So I'm not down with the mantles. It's dumb.
Generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of it. Yeah.
All right. So moving on to some more potentially, is this going to be positive? To
me, it's a have to, it's not, I don't think it's bad. I think you're what's the word when you, is it called barking? Not barking at the moon, but screaming. It's whenever you're like, it's a futile attempt, but maybe not. On this article at comicbook.com, there's a petition someone started for them to go full metric or have conversion on the next edition in 2024. Conversion, because they've had conversion in some books from the imperial system, feet, inches and stuff, to the metric system. Mathematically, I get it. But dude, since I was young, they were saying we're going metric. Look, the US has liters for their soda. Congratulations. That's all you get. I mean, we have a little more than that, but when I was young, they were warning, we're going to go metric. And you know what? Mathematically, you can make a strong argument. We should be metric. It's a very nice, elegant system. You can make it's kind of and when I teach the metric system in some of my classes, there's a book that describes it as an ideal measuring system. An ideal is given these different conditions, like 6 different qualities a measuring system has to be considered ideal. So it's a precise definition of ideal. It's not some abstract idea. And the metric system fits it all. But you could argue, well, maybe they made that word that definition because they love the metric system. But the metric system is nice, multiples of 10. I mean, it really is, and people can say that all day long. But at least the U.S., some places in Scotland, I think it was Scotland because I was there, they use miles, or they did back in the day. Back in the day, I mean 2015, 16.
It's perfectly. I mean, we still. Here in the U.S., still using miles does not prevent us from getting from place to place. So there's nothing broken to fix on a macro level. We still use metrics in a lot of in science, in medicine, and in measurements for food in the food industry.
Yep,
a lot of weights and measures there. But for common use out on the street, out in them streets. Yeah, talking miles and feet and inches, and it doesn't hurt anything. So
no, it doesn't. And people talk about gallons, and they talk about acres and stuff like that, which is a weird conversion. He talks about, I don't know. I thought the article was kind of weird, but I mean, I get it. I get their desire, especially from another country that uses metric. And you're playing D&D. It'd be nice if the books were in the units you're comfortable with. And it's a pretty. And if WotC's probably big enough to do If I print German D&D books, I'll do metric. If I print French D&D books, I'll do metric. I mean, why not? And they're saying, well, the conversions are clunky. Well, yes, going from centimeters to inches is not clunky. They're just weird. They're not like 1 to 2 or 1 to 4. It's 1 to 2.36 or something.
Well, people don't like decimals.
Right. Well, I mean, sorry about your luck. If you want to do the conversion, that's fine. And all they got to do is just say, yeah, don't do a straightforward conversion. Just go do a rough equivalent.
Right.
And who cares, man? Am I going to be mad because a 5-foot step in my 3rd edition book is really 1.2 meters, not 2 meter step? I'm not going to, who cares? In French, I mean, are we going to quibble? You see the little square on this piece of paper, monsieur? That's how far you get. So far you can move before you can, want to provoke an attack of opportunity. And he's not going to need me to explain that to him. He's going to get it. I mean, he's a person. He's a people. He speaks, words that make sense.
It doesn't matter what the squares on, if you're moving squares on a piece of paper, it doesn't matter what the squares represent, really.
Which, I'd say
precisely
to start a little fire. The 4th edition did that. People got mad.
They did what? Oh yeah, they said
squares.
Everything's squares. Yeah.
There's something. I mean, but I get it. I mean,
it could be 5-foot square. It could be a.
But if you're
less than a meter square.
We have a friend that likes rulers. He thinks we should use rulers at the table and not. Well, and there's advantage to using rulers instead of squares and hexes because you can have a blank sheet of paper. Right. And I can draw something and you go, oh, can you make it? You can go 6 inches on your ruler. Plap. No, you can't. I mean, that's kind of old war gamey, but I mean, that's okay. And then who cares if you're using meters? You can go 6 inches or you can go 14 meters. I don't know. I mean, 14 centimeters. I mean, so.
Then there comes the question of, can you really?
What do you mean?
Can you really, as a caster, are your eyes calibrated so that you can tell I mean, if it's a rough thing, like feet away and my range is at least 10 feet, I should be able to get that.
Right.
But if it's close, like 2 people standing next to each other, can you really do that?
You know how in 3rd edition we use those templates and we'd be like, I place my fireball kind of like this. And it's like, I don't know if you remember this. You guys used to try that bull crap back in original D&D.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, that doesn't make sense. Oh, I could do it. I'm like, no, you really couldn't. I mean, there's a chance you will burn your friends. Right. There's a good point. Should we throw that into Mudsword?
Probably.
I mean, maybe we need to go like get hardcore. And
the better way to do it is the player saying, can I do this? And the DM making the call, not the argument back and forth. I should be able to do this. It's I can, or can I?
Right.
Because something like that, I mean, what happens when you start casting a spell? Does a heads-up display appear in your eyeballs, and then you're like, yeah, it's right there? I don't think so.
We all have cybernetic enhancements. All wizards get cybernetic enhancements to help them to measure distances. I think it would be okay in my mind to say if a creature's in melee, if you do an AOE, you're getting your ally.
Yeah,
you just are.
Right.
You can't. Your magic is not that precise. So basically, if your fighter's up there fighting the ogre, you can't fireball him. Well, you can, but you're gonna get them both because you just can't control it. Not that much. Now maybe we could graduate and give little talents and boost to wizards where like you grant your ally +2 to a save because you're really good at this. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like that.
Yeah, I kind of like 3rd edition also kind of screwed the pooch on that because it made you, with the language it used for spell casting, you could target a square or target a point.
Yep.
Like an intersection of lines on a map, and that's very precise.
And honestly, and I know you and I differ a little. I'm less gamey than you are. You're more gamist than I am. I'm like, I want the game rules most of the time to fade in the background. Not that you don't ever use them. I just don't want them to have to be like in 3, they were front and center. It's like movement, 5-foot step. We had to look precision on the map. And that was fun times. I'm not knocking it. But right now, I don't care what the rules are. I want the story to be kind of cool. I want you to get to roll your dice. I want you to get to do your sweet 10d6 fireball, but I don't want it to be, I place it so that, I get the lich on the ground who the cleric is fighting with his mace of disruption. But on top of the stage in this old theater, I also want to burn those 2 ghouls that are trying to eat Joe's wizard's face. Right. And it's like, I don't want to place that fireball. Look, I got just enough room. I'm like, no, you don't. I mean, you can do that, but you're burning the cleric and the wizard. They're going to have to make a save,
Yeah.
At higher levels, we can mitigate things. Let them make a save and get quarter damage.
Right. And the other thing about this article, getting back to the article.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. We're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. It's a weird article because one dude or whatever said, I don't like it, started a petition, and somehow it's worth 3.5 paragraphs on comicbook.com. It's kind of weird.
Some people, it's a thing. I mean, honestly, I could see this article being more significant back in the 3rd edition era. Because the game, our 4th edition, where like movement and stuff and the chessboard was important. But you're right. I mean, it's kind of weird. Some dude's like, I want metric. Okay. I mean, like I said, when we were young, Joe, that was the thing. I remember our teachers telling us, when you're older, there will be no imperial system.
Yeah, well, they were wrong.
And I'm like, the U.S. is like, we're not changing. Scotland's like, no, we like Miles. All right.
Well, I guess the petition has 1,250 signatures, so
that's not that many.
Not really.
I mean, it's cool. I'm impressed the guy got it, and I'm not shocked. I'm sure there's plenty of, people from other countries that cared. I'd be very interested to know. I'd really like to know how many U.S. citizens, even the ones that maybe signed it, how passionate are you about the metric system? Really? I teach young people. They're not terribly passionate about the metric system.
Well, I wonder.
They don't hate it. They're like, half a dozen of one, 6 of the other. I know Imperial, leave me alone.
I wonder how many of that 1,250 are U.S.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's probably not as many. That's what I'm really in. I mean, I'm fine with, if you're from Spain, I get it.
Sure.
But if you're not, I'm like, well, why do you care, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, really? I mean, I want the Spaniards to play D&D too. I mean, I was watching. I'd want them all to play. Everybody in Barcelona, play D&D, baby.
So weird.
All
right. So
fun.
Oh yeah. Haha. You are going to be surprised at my response, I think, to this.
Oh, because I know you know mine.
So yes, apparently there's going to be some stat block changes. Well, the way I was first presented with this, someone said that counterspell was nerfed.
Right.
But that's not really true.
Okay.
The counterspell change, the spell counterspell is not being changed in 5th edition. Not that I really care all that much, because I don't play 5th edition very much. But I know, as far as you and I are concerned, we've had some discussions about counterspell because you've had some issues with it as a DM, and some of the players in the wider group have taken great advantage of the spell counterspell.
Well, here's the thing. So when the new rules come out in 2024, the updates, or I'm going to call it 6th edition because I think it's going to be a new edition. They can say what they want, but it'll be at least 5.5, which was a new edition. They're changing how there's things, monsters are going to have like spell actions or actions that do spell like effects. Instead of fireball, they'll have fire explosion. Instead of lightning bolt, they might have arcing electrical blast or something. The point is, so when that happens, now here's the thing that I think no one's covered. What if counterspell changes too?
Right. So if they change the description of counterspell, then this will be moot. However, it's actually not waiting until 6th edition or whatever they're going to call it. It's actually coming out in Beyond the Witchlight has already changed stat blocks in.
Right now, it's actually an issue because those creatures have those powers. That crazy sneezer is my dog. He's a big horse. But anyway, so you cannot do the counter as a ready to action. Not this article. I wish I could find it again. There's another one where a guy goes down an interesting rabbit hole and he talks about several other spells that are really boss in 5e, low level too, like hypnotic pattern is apparently pretty awesome in 5e. But the point is, if it gets nerfed, and this is where I stand, or at least I'm leaning toward this, I think counterspell as a spell is poop. I am not terribly against the idea of counterspelling being thrown out of the game. Period. Not being an option. And here's why. It's not just, oh, I want my monsters to be able to do their cool spells, but it is kind of, I want my monsters to be their cool spells. If you're fighting the awesome Lich of coolness, and you happen to have a wizard and a warlock and a bard who all have counterspell, and so the bard counterspell this dude, and we're going to beat him up. Okay, you win, but wow, what a cool way to make a Lich not interesting. He needs to get his spells off. I think even for the party to be like, whoa, we built that dude after he used Horde Wilting on Joe's fighter and knocked him to 2 hit points the first round. That was awesome. That Lich was unbelievable. You take away the awesome with a dumb counterspells, kind of take away the fun thing, at least the way 5e does it.
Right.
And the way 30 did it, where you hold your action. If no one casts a spell when you're counterspelling, and a DM who metagames may not cast a spell because you go, I hold my spell to counter anything that wizard cast. A DM could even subconsciously go, I'm going to have the wizard move to a better advantage point and not cast a spell. Guess what? You just lost your turn.
Right.
You wasted your turn. And so it became, how many people counterspelled in 3rd edition? I'll answer that. Almost none.
Right.
Because it wasn't worth it.
No, because you could lose your action. So counterspelling is iconic.
In some sense.
In some sense. That being said, I don't think we played counterspelling. I mean, it's not part of the game until 3rd edition.
Correct.
So,
I think you could do it in 2nd. I don't know if anybody out there could call in and tell us. I seem to recall it was something like, to counter Fireball, you had to have Fireball memorized. And somehow, I don't know how the initiative worked, you had to, I'm sure Gygax kludged something together, that you could cast Fireball when they cast Fireball and do the counter words, and you both lose it.
right.
That's kind of how it works. And it's like, and you're like, I ain't losing my Fireball.
Right.
You guys better make your saves.
Right. I mean, if they had that, I don't remember, because I don't remember everything.
Yeah, I feel like it was there, but yeah, we're like, I remember it was like, that's not worth it. No one's ever going to do it.
Or you had to use Dispel Magic.
Yes, that was it. Dispel Magic. That's it. And it was like, okay. And it seemed kind of weird. I get when you're saying it's kind of iconic. It's a cool thing you could see in a book or story or movie.
Right.
Kind of, I mean, Big Trouble in Little China, when they're doing the up and they're playing like a video game. The 2 wizards are fighting. That's kind of like constant counter spells. But I think D&D's Magic doesn't need counterspell. I think it could be an event. I think anti-magic is good enough in terms of, like, if you had an area of anti-magic, that would be the cool factor. I don't think if we toss counterspell at all, the option, we'd be missing anything. I think we'd gain. I think it's a net gain if you tossed it.
It depends on what perspective you're talking. From the DM's perspective, yes. From the player's perspective, not necessarily. Most players aren't going to care that the Lich didn't get their spells off. They're going to say, good, we killed the Lich, he didn't get his spell off, we won.
Okay. Recompose the party. You got a magic user, you got a cleric, you got a fighter and rogue, ranger, and a druid. What the hell? Okay. Only one of those dudes have counterspell.
Yes.
Okay. You come fight the cult of the super bad wizard dudes.
Right.
2 invisible wizards hide in the corner and counter everything you guys cast.
Yes.
That won't be fun. That'll be I'm not having fun time. Yeah. And the players will be like, oh, that was dumb. I didn't like that. I couldn't do anything.
How counterspell is a spell you have to cast, right?
Yes.
It's not an ability you can keep doing. So you'll run out of it eventually.
Sure.
So
I agree. But here's the thing. I agree with that, Joe. But
no, you can't even do that in 5th edition, I don't think.
What?
Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Does invisibility work the same way in 5th edition?
I think pretty much. I don't know if counterspell is actually an attack though.
No, but I may be getting things confused, but it might be that in 5th edition,
Concentration.
that invisibility,
Mm-hmm.
any spell cast drops it. It might be. I might be thinking.
Forget it. They're not hidden.
Yeah.
That's just their job.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to take them out. Yeah, but guess what? The spell. Now you can get meta and do dumb things. And like, one of our buddies, I'm going to cast a spell. Okay. And then when it gets countered, I was casting Charm Person. I wasn't casting Lightning Bolt. It was like, okay, how about this? What spell are you casting?
Yeah.
But then he tells me, and I got to look him up. I think it's kind of dumb. And I just don't.
There's probably a way to do it that's different than 5th edition does it.
There might be. And that could be, again, we'll put it on. I'm willing to consider it for Mud Sword, but right now I lean like 80% counterspell is like a waste of colossal idea. Good in the game, bad
execution, bad. Yes. Yeah. And as a thematic kind of idea, it'd be nice to have some way of doing that, but the way it's implemented is kind of not great.
Yeah, and we didn't mention the whole counterspelling the counterspell.
Yeah.
Which Jeremy Crawford said is a thing.
Right.
And that works, but that's stupid. But whatever. I mean, it's not stupid. It just seems super weird because it sounds weird, but it could be making sense. It's a spell.
It's a spell.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but what I was going to say, I think that the monster change is interesting. However, if it's a monstery monster,
mm-hmm.
Let's say an ooze or something that can cast spells,
mm-hmm.
change those to magical abilities that aren't spells. That makes sense. Yeah. And then you the wizards or whatever can't counterspell that stuff.
Right.
That makes sense to do that. I don't think it makes sense for every adversary's abilities to be switched over, especially if they are casters.
Yeah, if your foe's an evil cleric, he casts cleric spells. And if you want to call it something cool and easy to manage in the game, fine. But it's real. It should say acts as a spell versus counterspell.
Right.
Or it should just be, I don't know. I don't get what the problem is. Your casters have this list of spells like the other ones do. I mean, some of the people are like, yeah, yay, because I ain't got to keep track of their spells. I'm like, is it really that hard? Is it that tough for you? I guess if you're 20th level, but even then, it's not. You don't get that many spells in 5e. What are you crying about?
Right.
So yeah. Anyway,
people complain about weird things.
Yeah, it's interesting. So.
All right. So next up is
you love this one, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it's so stupid. So apparently, over on Screen Rant, which is just a lovely site with wonderful articles written by folks who have great command over the English language and the way of crafting it into words and paragraphs and things.
Yeah.
But the title is How to Play Non-Violent Tabletop RPG Campaigns.
I know. Don't play them.
Right. I've said stuff like that. That got me in trouble somewhere. Don't do that.
Dude, if you want to, I don't care.
Sure.
You can go to the prom. You can role play going to the prom if that's your thing. I'm not interested. But
you don't need another rule set, which this suggests that you do.
Oh,
what they're saying. Okay, where is it at?
Monster.
Okay. Ursula K. Le Guin said conflict is one kind of behavior. There are others equally important in any human life, such as relating, finding, losing, bearing, discovering, parting, and changing. Which is fine. It's all cool, and you can write that stuff into novels and whatnot, and it's interesting reading.
Yep.
So too, now this isn't her, this is the author. So too can tabletop RPGs have storylines and gameplay capable of being exciting and thrilling, yet not necessarily violent. Sure, but that's all role playing. You don't need rules for that.
Yeah.
So, but when we already do all this stuff, when you go to town and you talk to the bartender or the trader or whoever, you're doing non-violent things. It's not a constant fight from the time you sit down at the table to the time you get up. Well, sometimes it is.
It was back in the day. Well,
but town stuff is non-violent.
Yeah, we called it town stuff.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you 95%. I think what they're saying and what some games try to do, they add mechanics to that, I think, to feel like they're playing a game.
Sure.
Otherwise, they're playing pretend. Let's pretend, which I agree. That's kind of what you're doing when there's no rules. But it's kind of part of the role-playing game part that you just do, that we do. If someone wants rules for that, okay. But it seems to me that will stifle the interaction. I mean, do they want rules where, like, okay, I'm playing the crafty Lady Marion, who is a diplomat that's come to Joe's Keep to try to persuade Duke Butch to let her use some of his men on this western side of the land for something she needs to get done, and I got to persuade him. And so we go and we start talking. I would just play her and try to like convince Joe and his character to do that in our game. Or I can use a mechanic. Well, I have cool smooth move. So I'll roll my cool or compare my cool smooth score to Joe's resist cool smooth move. And if I do it, then I convince him. But then a player would hate that. And then they would say, agency. And I'd be like, okay, do you want mechanics? Do you want to be rolling dice? Now, someone's going to say, you don't always have to roll dice, Randy, to have mechanics. Okay, you can draw a card, see what happens. I don't know. I mean, is that what, do you want there to be a random element for your character to have no? It seems to me you're going to take away the player agency when you add mechanics to role playing.
I say just role play and let the players. Sometimes the players will not act according to what they should.
Right.
Depending on how they've talked about their character and said what their personality and whatnot are like. But most of us will just go roll with it.
And it's like you say, well, and it's like, and Joe be like, I don't trust Randy no matter what he's doing. So I ain't letting this Lady Marion get away with nothing. And I'd be like, Truthfully, I would go in expecting Joe to reply like that. It would shock me if he let her get away, because especially if she came off like super hot looking babe and he's not married and she's using her sexuality to try to convince him. Joe was like, oh, she's a succubus. I mean, because he knows me, because she probably is. But I mean, even if she's not, I'd be like, let Joe do what he wants. Honestly, I'd probably have a second plan. She might have spies.
She just might be the distraction.
That's right. It might be that she's doing it already. Maybe she's already, what's the word when you force people into your military? There's a title where you get
conscript.
Yeah, she might be conscripting some of your peasants on the west side already as she talks to you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't I guess, I don't know. But whatever. But the big question is, I don't want to play games that aren't violent.
They need to have some kind of conflict. And the person who wrote this has a problem with competition, because
I saw that too.
Yeah.
That's normal. I hate the competing element. Well, even when you're role playing, there's a competition there. Sure you are. Even if you're trying to bear this guy's burden, he won't let me bear his burden. Let's roll. We're competing with the mechanics to see if my dude is cooler than yours and I can extra bear your burdens. I don't know. That just seems weird to bring that to the table.
Yeah, he or she, whoever wrote this, puts up some kind of weird dichotomy between, and we sometimes do too, where we say it's a story game.
Yeah,
but he's making it mutually exclusive to have peaceful. He's talking about having an entire campaign of peaceful talk, mm-hmm. And where is they? Focuses on telling profound. You're sitting at a table. I don't think you're doing anything profound. Profound stories of reconciliation, self-discovery. It's not self-discovery. It's an imaginary character. You can't do self-discovery with an imaginary character. You can pretend to.
Yeah. Which is what
I just discovered something about my character that I just imagined up out of the ether just now.
Yeah. All right.
And the building of better lives. Oh, that's the whole thing.
That's beautiful.
Because I guess because it's a fantasy world, they want to get away from the real world existence of conflict, because life is conflict.
It's conflict. Yeah.
Getting out of bed can be a conflict. I don't want to You have a conflict with yourself.
Yeah, and your paychecks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
look,
weak
man,
sauce. This is
I don't get it.
low
It's
T.
clearly those
Low
are
T.
what? Oh, low
Low
T.
T.
Look, dude. Clearly, those games are not for us.
No.
I mean, the closest I can come to, I mean, in D&D games, dude, I would say you love it. I've seen it on your face. And Joel even asked me afterwards. I have some, it's like it appears, man, if we go in there, we got to fight this big thing. And Joel's like, instead of fighting the ogre, look, the dude looks like he's starving. Let's bring him some food and see if we can't coexist. And then you make friends with him. And afterwards, and Joe will be like, you thought we were going to fight him, didn't you? I mean, that's a win for you. And usually I figured you were like, we didn't even draw a sword. That was cool. We made friends with the ogre. And it's like in the old day, I remember JD and Ryan used to always say, I'm going to make friends with all the guys that are going to make you like us. That was funny, So that was still kind of a battle, right? A battle of wits.
Right. And, if the monster doesn't attack you outright, if it's like it's defending territory or whatever, if you're playing heroic characters,
right,
good guys, you're not just going to slaughter everything you walk up to.
No,
because in that case, when you go to town, you do town stuff. You go to town and you say you go to the bar, and if anybody even looks at you cross-eyed, you stab them in the gut. That's what we did back in the day anyway.
Kill that apple vendor. He looked at me sideways when I didn't buy his crappy apples.
Right. If you're playing good guys, you're not just going to slaughter everything, but if you get attacked, you're going to defend yourself. And depending on the situation, we all know the situations where you don't ask questions, you just draw swords and you throw down. There's a lot of those, but there are a lot of opportunities to skirt direct conflict. And it's a good idea to do that.
Yeah.
Do that in regular life too.
Yeah.
Don't just punch people in the nose for looking at us cross-eyed. So
even when you want to.
Yeah, even when you want to. So it's natural for you to bring that across at the table too. And sometimes maybe not. Maybe you're going to play some over-the-top, ridiculous character that punches everybody in the nose.
Right. All I know is
have some fun doing that for a little while. But if you're going to play somewhat seriously, you're going to bring across a more realistic portrayal of a character where they're not going to just stab everything.
Yeah, you're going to think deeply about your motivations and discover that you have a hero inside.
Yeah. So not pacifist, but not, killing everything. And the article kind of makes it out to be a false dichotomy, in my opinion.
Yeah, like you can't have some of that in D&D. Okay, well, you need special rules, but maybe some folks do, and they want a different experience at the table. Okay, not
Go for it. Go for it. All right. Oh yeah, I think this was one that I
you loved.
I talked about in another venue. People didn't like my position.
Dude, I'm gonna have to. Oh, this is an article at wargamer.com where Jeremy Crawford talks about alignment rules changes. The idea devils and angels aren't, they're typically this alignment. Not all devils are evil, not all demons are evil, not all angels are good. And I'm like, okay, in a postmodern view, I could see in a situation where a one-off could be fun, but generally speaking, 99.9% of the time, angels are good, devils are evil. They may be lawful. You might be able to talk to a devil in D&D, because I always thought devils were like talk first, fight later.
Yeah,
they weren't looking to fight. Most were not looking to fight.
They're looking to make a deal.
They're looking to make a deal, screw you in the long run, get your soul, take it to hell. Demons kind of like, I'm not interested in talkie. I want to eat your heart out through the top of your head. So, gross, horrible, murdering stuff. But yeah, they're talking. We know they're shifting away from alignment anyway, and now they're kind of bringing it back in an namby-pamby way. I have to be honest, though, Planescape did a little bit of that. My favorite setting.
Sure did.
Oh, Max may not like that. I don't think Max Leal likes Planescape, does he?
No, he hates Planescape. Really,
and probably for this reason, because you get a lot of
Dark Sun as well.
Oh, he hates Dark Sun.
Well, I think if you couch it correctly, he would say, okay, it's fine as a thing that isn't D&D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's got a point, because
He
the
does.
alignment system takes back seat in Planescape, and it's more about your approach to life. They really probably, Planescape, you could say, would probably run really well without alignments altogether. But Planescape does do that. There's a, I'll tell something, probably will tweak people's nads. In Planescape, I want to say near the end of the run in second edition, when we have Sigil, the city between all in the multiverse, in the center of the multiverse, where everything shows up, and there was a pair, there was a Batman and Robin duo. They weren't Batman and Robin, but they were like fighting crimes in Sigil. These pair, they were a demon and a devil working together. Which, if you know Planescape lore, there's something called the Blood War, where demons and devils are constantly for eternal time have been at war. So you got a lawful evil and a chaotic evil doing good stuff, and people were making comments like, "Ooh, maybe they've been redeemed." And there was the concept of a redeemed devil or redeemed demon. And I thought, as a one-off, but what Sigil did, which they're really good at, they didn't come out and say that they were. They said people are wondering if maybe these creatures, because they're not hurting people, they're helping people. And they're like, but maybe they're playing a longer game. And maybe it's a really smart demon who's willing to control his rage. And the devil's like, look, we got he's convinced him of a long payoff. Or maybe they really are. Maybe they've been turned. Maybe they're living in Sigil because they can't go back to the abyss and hell because they'll be killed.
Yeah, I like the idea of redemption, because that speaks to there being some hard delineations with these creatures.
Yes.
Because they're not okay, so there's a lot of things at work here.
Yep.
One, a particular kind of phrase has been thrown around here recently, as in, why can't everything have diversity? So that stupid word being used inappropriately comes up again. So all creatures, okay. So one, or as diverse as humans, right? So why can't they be all as diverse as humans? Well, they're not humans. So there you go. Demons and infernal creatures and celestial creatures are embodiments of their environment, and the alignment, the good in the celestial and the bad in the infernal, they embody that. Humans don't embody that kind of thing. Humans, if you want to really get to what I think, and a lot of other people think, humans embody a duality of evil and good.
Yes.
You know, humans are capable of great good and great evil.
Absolutely.
And sometimes in the same person.
Yes. I think by our nature, this is getting down philosophy, I think we're hypocrites. We are easily in our life, if we listed all of our beliefs, some don't jive. Some usually don't jive. There's some part of what we do or what we allow or what we put up with that doesn't really jive with what we truly believe. And so, and please take that as I mean it. People are listening. I'm not saying, oh, you're hypocritical SOBs. I'm including Randy in this. I'm not consistent in all my beliefs.
Yeah, it's hard to be 100%.
It's hard to be, because I have certain beliefs. I think Joe shares it, why we don't have that consistency. But the point is, yeah, you're right. And I think even in D&D lore, originally, demons and devils were souls. Demons were souls of chaotic evil folks who passed, and devils were souls of lawful evil folks who passed, who got quote unquote reborn in the hellish nightmare plane their souls went to. And if you look at the lore in Planescape and Hellbound box set and even other D&D, Dragon Magazine with Gygax, they are tortured and treated horribly by the more powerful demons, the demon lords, and then they graduate to a dredge, okay, which is like the lowest of the lows of the demons, and then they
work their way up.
A toughest dredge might morph into some Barrel Gura, which is like a ape demon, and so on and so forth, and they make their way up the chain. Now it's more orderly with devils. With a devil, Lemure, you do this thing, you follow orders for so long and you don't die, so many hundreds of thousands of years, whatever it is, you get next rank, you're a Spinagon. Then next rank you're this, next rank you're that. So it's orderly, but it's the same idea. So it's hard to imagine someone mistreated for ages, all of a sudden, I don't think I'll be not evil anymore.
Well, in order to get ahead there or to survive, you have to embody the nature of the beast there. More cunning and evil than the folks that are above you, or at least peers or below, so you can stay on top.
Yeah.
And at some point be. But in any case, though, it says here that, and it's weird. Let's see. Creatures with a strong moral inclination will be merely listed as typically, and then only very certain creatures will have a definite alignment, like named creatures and whatnot.
Yes.
So considering that, every named NPC in a module, they're named, and then your PCs all have a name, so you can leave name off your PC, and then you don't have to have an alignment. But but all the named any individual named thing will have an alignment next to it, but they want the alignments to be a narrative suggestion or a role-playing aid rather than a fundamental cast iron rule, because they don't want anything to have a fundamental nature.
I was going to say, I've said something like that before. I'm not the most huge fan of alignments, though I find myself being drawn back toward it. And I always consider it as one aspect of your being, right. It's not your be all end all of everything. But you're right. I was going to say that whole thing of, you get your 1+2. That's where things are going since Tasha's or whatever book it was for 5e. And you get a +2, put it where you want. Now they're talking about body types. I mean, they have a bullywug knight somewhere you can show that you could play. I mean, someone's got a bully. I forgot what article I should have put it, but like, you get a place that you're not normal, and you can even change, like, within your species, not all dwarves are short. That's basically what they're implying. Not all halflings are under 4 feet.
I saw a meme on the internet where it said used to be, and it showed the various races, kind of cartoony, but different. They're all different. Elves, typical to elf, and halfling and dwarf and all that. Sure. And then in the next one, it showed now. Now they all are almost identical except for the color of their skin and their hair. And they're all exactly the same height.
Yeah, I guess that's what's going to happen. So we can all be, homogeneous and the same thing, which sounds like a pretty leftist approach. They're shooting for that. We're all same.
I don't know what the problem is with having things being distinct.
Me neither. No clue.
Why does everything have to have exactly the same amount? If everything has to be as diverse as humanity, then on some level, everything will become humanity, right?
Joe, here's the truth. And gosh, you and I aren't equal.
No. You can't exchange us and say we're good.
No, Joe is in every way inferior to me. So, I mean, I don't know how we could say that. No, I'm just kidding. My point is, there's things Joe's great at that I can't even do, right? And there's like one thing I can do that Joe can't do. But the point is, we're not the same. We have some value, as an adventuring party, an elf is a valuable asset. Not because he's just like the dwarf. I'm just as strong as a dwarf, and my con's just as good as a dwarf. Then why aren't you playing a stupid dwarf? And so, but yeah, I don't know. But I don't know.
So the idea in real life, the idea of diversity is that you and I, being two white dudes of equivalent age, and somewhat capabilities.
Yeah, we have some similars.
We are. There's no diversity if we're in the same room. No diversity. Two white guys.
Not at all. We're clones.
All you have to do to make it diverse in that room is switch one of us out for a woman
or a POC.
Oh yeah, or a POC. Then it's diverse
automatically.
As if a room full of white people can't have some sort of diversity of viewpoint or experience or anything like that.
or capabilities or intelligence or physical deafness or natural intuition. Get out of here.
Right.
It's crazy.
So that sort of thought process is kind of dripping into the game. And now humanity is diverse. So why not make dwarves diverse as humans? I'm saying, why not let the diversity that's always been D&D remain?
Right.
So humanity having its thing, which is being all things, and then dwarves being the way the dwarves are, elves and halflings and dragons and demons and all that stuff. They all, that's the diversity.
Yeah. I mean, and like
we need to make dwarves more diverse and be able to be tall dwarves. I mean, that's stupid.
They're not dwarves anymore. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's just a word.
Just a word.
Yeah. We're cosplaying furries and stuff. That's dumb.
I describe myself as dwarf dude. Why? Because I'm basically human, but I like being called a dwarf.
It's a label.
6'4", 210, white skin, male, dwarf. No beard, smooth shaven.
Because later on in this article, they talk about that stuff because the wild beyond the witchlight is the new hotness. New changes are characters are no longer assumed to have the humanoid creature type.
What?
Characters are no longer assumed to have the humanoid creature type because characters can be so diverse, they're not necessarily all humanoid.
So you could be a plant dude,
I guess.
So it's gamma.
Knight is in this article.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I'd heard from somewhere. I saw a post, and this is rumor, but I did see some pictures, and I think it looked like the art. There's apparently a clown in something to the Witchlight whose name is Thaco.
Yeah.
And he hates children. He's an old clown.
Yeah.
That's not saying nothing at all.
No, nothing at all.
Just poking a little fun. But hey, they really want to hear our voice, Joe.
Yes.
They want to hear the voice of the old people.
Yes.
So we need to stay in the 5e community so they can poke fun at us. Not that I'm a Thaco guy, but I identify as one. Oh, that's awesome. Pure stupid. All right, sweet. If that's true, which I think it is. So I would bet $10 it is.
Right. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Onward.
Moving along.
Yeah.
The Legion of Myth.
Yes.
That I was in last week. Also had, one of them. There's this new group that we've gotten together.
A subgroup of the Legion of Myth.
Well, no, it's more just an amalgam of different folks.
Oh, okay. The Legion of Myth guys just organized
a diverse assortment of people.
Diverse. Ooh, nice.
Pale, but diverse.
And male.
Pale and male, but diverse. Called the Gatekeepers.
Yes.
And my idea.
Love it.
They liked it, so they adopted it. Essentially, it's just a group of YouTubers, mostly DMs. I'm the lone holdout on that. I mean, I sometimes DM, but I'm mostly play. And
I want to be in that. Well, I'm technically in it. I need to be one of those because. Last time I got a comment about your video too. I want to tell everybody that if the Gatekeepers listen to this, I got a comment on sessions.
So the Gatekeepers had their first video released on Wednesday, and it was, I guess, short-ish. It was only 2 hours long.
Yeah, they can't roll like us.
Right. 2+, 3+.
Right, baby.
It was a weeknight. He said it's a weeknight, so we got to keep it short. And it was 2 hours.
Oh, wow. What you talking about?
Yeah.
We had 3-hour Wednesday nights. Ask Taylor. Taylor, Clearsville Ringmill, baby.
Yeah.
3+ hours. We broke 4, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Shoot.
Something like that.
Dang.
So it was fun.
Wednesday night. Yeah, it was really good. And they were talking about session 0, and I really wanted to be there. I had a buddy over, and I didn't get to make it. I was planning on it, and I was jealously watching them discuss it. Yesterday in my break at work, and I thought, comment on session 0. I think it was it Max asked, "Did you ever have a bad experience at session 0?" Well, here's what I would have told him about. Joe was not a part of this. When I ran I've talked about this little Greyhawk 5e game that I ran about a year ago. It lasted a full year. We went level 1 to 10. But the first session I was kind of enamored of session 0. I'm a little, I still like the idea of it a little bit, even though generally speaking, I'm with Joe. We don't need it. But I was kind of charmed by the idea. And so I had written out all these questions and I wanted to have a discussion. My wife, Philip, and the Sanborns were there. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. That's all right. You've been outed. Our buddies. Anyway, we're going to play. And I start reading these questions off. We want to do that. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And my sweet wife's like, why are you asking this dumb crap for? Can't we just play? I was like, part of me was like, butt hurt. Then I was like, oh, I think I love you. I mean, it's kind of cool because it was just like, she's like, let's just play. We know how to do this. And I was like, man, she's channeling Joe. And so I kind of got put in my place that night when I tried to bring the session 0 talk. Me and another guy who shall remain nameless, Patrick, have talked about how I think he and I are the only one that likes a little bit. We're here in this corner. I'm trying to scooch down on the video monitor of our massive fan group and think, I think we should do session 0. And everybody's like, shut up. I got a character. Let's go. You said it's D&D. You said it's aliens. We're good. I'm Hicks. Let's go. He's Hudson. So it's like, but yeah, I think I would be willing to entertain.
Offensive, speak up. Otherwise, let's go.
Yeah. Should we have a whole 3 hours to discuss how the campaign's going to go?
No. If you want your nuts punched.
We said we were playing D&D, didn't we? What do you need to know? And now the beauty of this is, and just to the reason I really kind of go with it, because basically what that does when the players say that means they're willing to get on my train and my rails I'm about to lay down, because they're telling Randy, do what you want. We're here to play. And I'm like,
right.
Shut up.
Granted, your rails are broad.
They are.
They have girth.
They do. Not unlike me. I have girth. So my rails have girth, and absolutely. Yeah. So there is something sweet about us not being session 0. I would love to have been there for that. But listen to the gatekeeper stuff, not just because one day I'm going to be on there, but Joe's often on there. Those guys on there. I thought you guys had a good discussion. I enjoyed
the link is in the show notes.
Yeah, check it out.
And on that, I have coordinated some things, and we will be able to host.
Yes, we're going to be a host. I guess I got to be at that one.
Gatekeeper host.
Nice.
At least one of. Well, I can.
Oh, I can't be a part of it.
I mean, I can invite you and kind of call you host.
Yeah. Notice how Joe last week was like, you try to control things, Randy. Look who's controlling.
Yeah. Well, you have the StreamYard account and a hook.
I know. That's all right. You're the tech guy.
Live stream now.
I'm just the pretty one, so it's okay.
We don't even have to have it be a gatekeeper's thing.
Oh yeah, we could. Well, we're talking about probably doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of. I don't know. Right now, I love the podcast, but I get
it's going to stay. So what we'll do is we'll do a test. I'll have a file.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure I'm able to extract audio and do the same things we're doing now. Nothing will change.
Yeah, I for sure want to be there. Whatever biggest geekest host, I want to be there. I want to try to get to the next one too. Yeah. I want to get in there and chat with those guys. Some good dudes in that group.
And finally, in this segment, which is very long.
Yes, it's not even the main topic, folks.
No. There's a new story out. It's kind of anticlimactic. So apparently there was a data leak at Twitch, and creators and their revenues were exposed to the world. And that's how everybody now is, not everybody, a certain amount of vocal whiny babies on Twitter and elsewhere are talking about how Critical Role made $9 million over the last 2 years on Twitch. And it sounds like a lot of money.
It does.
Over 2 years, you split that in half and divided by 30 people. It's not quite as much.
Still a decent chunk of change, though.
It is. It is.
I wouldn't mind getting that paycheck.
No.
But the
Somebody
point is,
worked it out to like 70,000, around 70,000 a piece.
yeah, that's okay for playing a game and being on TV and on YouTube. Hey, or Twitch is so. When I was watching the Clownfish TV or YouTube video that we have linked here, is were folks upset about it? Like mad that they were making money?
There are some mad folks, and it's not necessarily only because of the money itself. You know, there are some people who, you know, for some reason don't want people to make money.
Commies. I mean, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, pretty much. There are people that for some reason think that they portrayed themselves as just some friends getting together.
Oh.
And, you know, maybe at the beginning you could have thought that, but after, with all of the licensing that they've got and sponsors and whatnot, you can't.
The production value. No, it's not that.
No.
And I think what it is, it's a new, I mean, I get what, there are a segment of people that find that sort of actual play, especially because of Critical Role, they get offended at it because they're like, that's not playing D&D. And I think I agree. It's not just a D&D game. It's a show. It's not unlike, let's say, Tale of the Manicore. That's not an actual play. That's a dramatization. He's trying to tell a story using the basic D&D rules as part of as what makes decisions for the characters. And at least mostly, he's done a dramatized actual play. And Critical Role is a variant of that, where you have skilled actors who, from all I can tell, they like D&D.
Yeah.
They're D&D players, but they're doing a new thing. And they're like, let's put our skill as actors into this. And maybe they can't help it because they're actors. Even if they played at my table, they might be just the coolest character at the table because they're like role playing their dude and getting into it. You're like, wow, that dude's pretty cool. If you like that sort of thing, which I do, I appreciate it. But it's a different experience than just us playing D&D tomorrow night with 4 of our friends.
Right. And maybe at the very beginning,
right,
they were just a group of friends.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe they started out and said, yeah, let's do this. Maybe we can make some money off of it, which is fine too. I don't care. And
I saw episode 1 of Critical Role, and it was, and I was told by people, don't watch the first campaign. It was kind of cheesy, but even that looked better than what I would put together if we went actual play. But even then, it was a little cheesy. But if you look at it now, it is slick and professional, and they got all the cool toys. I mean, I think Dwarven Forge gives Mercer stuff. I think WotC gives Mercer stuff. He's written his own D&D book. He's got a D&D book. So I mean, they're big time. And you know what? I don't care to watch it. I don't care to watch it, but I say more power to them, dude.
Yeah. If they can make a good living off of it, sure. So now if they live in California, like a lot of people in the industry do, and in the acting industry, and they're all voice actors, 70,000 doesn't get them anything.
No, but like you said, there's also they're probably getting money other ways, not just, that's Twitch money, right?
Right. That's only Twitch money. That's not endorsements. That's not anything else.
And Amazon has an animated series for them that they produced and they kickstarted. Got $11 million, but I think there was an article that was saying that wouldn't have covered the cost of an animated series.
I doubt that Mercer made much money off the D&D book because Wizards don't pay their subcontractors very much. So
no, but as a dungeon master, looking at all the cool things he has, that would be kind of sweet to have WotC. I bet WotC and other companies, it sounds like they give him stuff. He gets lots of cool stuff. I would honestly, I would do that weekly campaign just for the crap that I got.
Right.
Giving me Dwarven Forge and minis and books. I'd be like, yeah, baby. I'll DM every week.
So yeah, but the other thing that people may have a hard time with is the Kickstarter that they ran fairly recently. I'm not sure. I don't know anything really about it, but somebody mentioned it. They ran a Kickstarter, and considering all things, there's 2 ways to look at it. One, everybody kickstarts stuff nowadays, even the big guys. They kickstart things because it's an easy way to make sure that they have interest in what they're putting out.
Look, it's smart. It's a smart business move. And Amazon backed that. It's that animated series they kickstarted, and they got so many, like 11, $12 million for that on the Kickstarter. And you know what I say? So what?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Right.
I mean, well done. Hasbro kickstarted the new Hero Quest, which I should be getting soon. I haven't gotten. But it's I mean, they didn't need to kickstart it. They could have made 400,000 copies of that game and took a chance.
Yeah, it's a much smaller gamble.
Yeah.
You kickstart.
And I think some smaller companies get a little butthurt when they hear that, that oh, I can't believe they kickstarted this. And I think one of our friends even said he felt a little bad at first when he heard about it, but he's like,
it's a business model now.
It's a business model. I mean, if we ever get to the point where Mud Sword's a real thing, and after we made a PDF and it's pretty cleaned up, and if we're liking it and our friends are liking it, and we put it on Drive Through RPG and it sells well, I would consider, this could never happen. It could happen. I would consider kickstarting a campaign. Not that we would necessarily use Kickstarter itself, but crowdfunding, make an actual book,
a professional product.
Yeah. I'm not sure Mud Sword will ever get to that point, but I mean, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Critical Role made a pile of money. I don't think anybody who's really paying attention is surprised or upset unless they're commies. But
yeah, I wasn't paying attention, so I was surprised they made that much money, but not really, because I know they have millions of subscribers, so I'm sure they make lots of money. And with their other endorsements and their side jobs, I'm sure they do better than you or I.
Oh yeah.
So
they probably don't have much to worry about.
No.
All right. The other side of that, though, is it being an entertainment. It's not a guaranteed. They don't have something that has residual, I don't think. So unless, well, they used to be on YouTube. So they used to be a YouTuber, but they switched to Twitch. And I'm not sure how Twitch works, but on YouTube, you can have old videos continue to draw revenue. I'm not sure how that works either. It might only be for a certain amount of time, but it's not like they have a television show with advertisers that they get residuals off of, or a movie that they get residuals off of every time someone watches it. So if their Twitch stream ended today, their revenue would end today from Twitch.
Oh, okay.
So who knows? The other stuff could easily end too.
Gotcha.
They stop being a thing. They're not going to be getting any more endorsements or anything like that. So
it's a little tenuous.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like relying on that as my main source of income. And granted, big chunks of cash like that, maybe it wouldn't bother. If I was doing that and working, $70,000 on top of what I make, hello.
You could lay up a pretty big nest egg, and then you would not have to worry about if it went away.
Correct. After 4 or 5 years, I'd be like, I don't care if I even play anymore. On the thing. All right, cool.
All righty. So time to move along.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Before we leave this segment, you want to talk about how the YouTube channel's doing and our third contest, which may be closer than we thought it was going to be.
Right. Let me check right quick.
Oh, he's doing it. We're getting real time numbers.
Live to tape.
Yeah. And so
I'm going to check the numbers. The last time I looked, it was pretty good.
There was 67 last time.
And as of today, we are at 75.
Wow.
Subscribers.
Dude, I think the gatekeepers and being on the Legion of Myth, I think that's helping people get the word out. And they said some really nice things about us. Thank you guys about that. I thought that was super cool.
Somehow we seem professional to them.
Wow. I appreciate it, but they got a low bar. So
seems
that's
like
cool. I mean, I'm glad they do. That's great.
Yes,
I do too, honestly. I mean, my bar is not very high, but yeah. So let's talk about can we talk about our third contest, because it's getting close? That's 3/4.
Yes. So we've got a new threshold of 100 subscribers. So once we get to 100, there will be a new giveaway.
Yeah,
and that giveaway will.
Yeah. Well. Here's the thing. I got the Codex Infernus. Went to Hockey Puck Jr. I actually hand delivered it because we knew the guy. Anyway. I'm going to stick with the last 2 books. So it's still going to be Maximum X Crawl Pathfinder. That's an option for the next contest when we get to 100 people. You can choose that, or you can choose Out of the Abyss, the D&D adventure path sort of thing, hardback book for 5e D&D. And then I added a new one to replace it, which is funny because Codex Infernus was about devils and stuff, and this is about demons. This is actually a board game, an old one from 1996. I'm showing pictures of it on the YouTubes if you're watching. It's called Inferno, Battles of the Abyss, not to be confused with Out of the Abyss. This is not an RPG product. This is a tabletop battle game, and it's used, and it's got little cardboard figures. You play these demon lords. I played it back in college. Well, I think I was teaching. I was in college. I just got out of college, but anyway. And you get these little boards. I have a few like little battle scenarios and a Havoc magazine, which is a magazine, a short-lived magazine they had in there. So you'll get a sweet little box set with some extra goodies in it. If you like battle games, it was pretty good.
It's complete though, right?
Oh, it's complete. Absolutely. Yes. There is a little tear on the corner, and you play demon lords trying to battle things out and win land and control things in the abyss. So anyway, pretty old game. Not D&D. It's its own universe thing. So you're not going to have Demogorgon and Orcus. You're going to have weird named creatures.
Right. Jumble consonants and vowels in unpronounceable fashion.
Correct. They clearly use fantasy name generator and say Bligger Bligger Blick. He is the demon lord of bad names. So
gotcha. All righty. Now can we finally move along, Mr.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry for slowing your roll, man.
All right. So in our main topic,
yes.
After let's see, almost 2 hours.
Oh gosh. We got to work on this.
Bringing your gaming world to life. No, we're not talking about having a summoning ritual where you're actually trying to bring it to life.
No, we're not pulling Doctor Strange stuff here.
No. We're talking about sparking interest, longevity, and enjoyment at the table in your campaign.
Yep.
And since I'm mostly a player, I'll take the first section.
Yeah, I want you to do the player side, and you can, adjust or make comments as you see.
So, yes. So for players, some ideas. Mm-hmm. Gather people who can commit and want to play the game you are running.
Yep.
So this is actually a DM thing. So naughty.
Well, it's kind of a group thing. So fair enough. Fair enough.
Right. Decide on the day and time and get a quorum. So from the player's end, you need to commit.
Yes.
Let the players
go. Well, you want to go ahead.
I was just going to go through them right quick.
You're going to read them. Okay, sure.
Let them play what they want within the framework of the world. So not quite a full-on conductor, but you do have some rails.
Yeah.
Share and the players have to buy in to the framework and play within it.
Correct.
Right.
If you're like, in this world, all the dwarves were killed in the Second Age. Can I play a dwarf that survived? Okay, in this world, all the dwarves were killed in the Second Age, and all we have is remnants of their civilization. Well, I was thinking I like to play a dwarf who man. Okay, let me say it again. Sometimes you get that players just like, dude, that's what I said. You didn't want to do session 0. You're playing Randy's game. Shut up, no dwarves.
Right. Share spotlight time. So from the player's point of view, you've got to give and take with your fellow players to give them spotlight time. Mm-hmm. But right, and from the DM's point of view, you're giving them spotlight time.
Can I pause you? So yeah. I think because if you look at it, you can say this is all from the DM's play, but my point was things you need to consider about the players. I wasn't thinking like this is what the players should consider, but I'm glad you're saying that.
Yeah.
It's like player stuff and then versus DM stuff.
Right.
What I think of that is, and it's probably all more heavily with the DM, but you're absolutely right. Players have a role in all this.
Well, it's if the DM is primarily making the world, then the DM is primarily responsible for bringing it to life.
Yeah.
In conjunction with the players, engaging with what you're presenting as the DM.
Yeah.
Watch to see what is most interesting to each player. Yeah. And, the player has to show interest. for a DM to actually be able to pick up on. If you're a wallflower, it's going to be hard for the DM.
Or I mean, if you had a whole group of wallflowers, I'm not sure what you would do. I will say this: I've had wallflowers that are not a problem. They're there to roll dice and watch what unfolds.
Right.
They care very little what their character does to affect it.
Right.
And you know what? They're fine, but they're telling me something as a player. They're saying, Randy, don't worry about spotlighting me. I don't have any special motivation. My motivation is I'm a barbarian. I like to kick ass and take names. That's my motivation.
Right.
The rest of it is I want to see. And they're enjoying themselves. You can be a wallflower and be engaged.
Right.
You can just sit back and go, God, this is so cool. Look what they're doing. Oh, I bet Joe's not going to like this. And you ain't got to be a part. I mean, and you're getting enjoyment and hanging out with your friends. So you need to recognize that as both a DM and another player. Sometimes players will push those players. Hey, what do you think? I don't care. Let's do what the group wants to do. That's usually the response you get from a wallflower.
Yeah. Make the PCs the stars of the game and let their decisions matter. Well, to some degree, yeah.
Right. I'm with you. I was going to
stars of the game at the table, but not necessarily stars of the world.
Right. Meaning don't tell stories where they're watching some NPC do cool stuff. Right. And they're just holding they're holding their, they're trained to their dress. Oh yes, you are so wonderful. Yeah. Right. I don't mean like make it all about those characters and everybody worships them. And Joe's wizard is first level, but everybody thinks he's the chosen one right from the beginning. And every wizard hands him spell books left and right. No, I'm not talking about that.
I've played a lot of video games that do that. You just graduate wizard school and everybody's like looking at you. that's how the text will roll on the screen or whatever. When you talk to somebody, oh, we were so proud of you and you graduated wizard school. We're looking for you to do big things. I'm like, that's dumb.
Yeah, and because what I'm saying is let their decisions matter. I mean, if a decision was made last night in Mudsword that affects the campaign. The group did something and it matters and there will be consequences. And they had an interesting choice and they made certain choices and it will have consequences. And some good, probably bad. And so, but definitely interesting. So had they not done what they did, it would have been a different result. So
cool.
Yep.
So you got the other section?
Yeah. So now, granted, you could argue that Joe's stuff was, like I said, it was about the players. Now, about what the DM's doing behind the scene, I would say create, and this is important for me. Maybe I do this a lot. I try to do this. Create cool, and I said hateable villains.
That's really important.
And let the PCs and give them a chance and make them want to kill those dudes or dudettes. Whatever your villain is, make him villainous. I don't want him to be too likable. Or if he is, he might have a Magneto quality that you understand the way he is, but you can't respect what he's doing. All the children picked on him when he was young. I mean, horribly, did just wicked things to him, things that hurt him physically, things that hurt him mentally. And so now he hunts children and uses them in experiments. I mean, I get that sucks that happened to you, but you don't need to do that to all the kids just because kids were mean to you. Create interesting and exotic locations. Make sure the PCs get to experience it. So if I'm going to create, which I never did this, and Greyhawk Joe will remember the dim forest? The
dim forest, yes.
Yeah. In my Greyhawk campaign, that was like the most dangerous. Everybody talked about how dangerous it was, and the mage of the valley hid within a valley deep within the dim forest. And I think you guys went there once or twice, but man, whenever they got to go, my players were like, they were completely on alert, because I would throw like really crazy monsters at them left and right. And they're like, this place is super dangerous. And so it's exotic. Why are all these monsters here? And I'm not sure we ever got to find out why. So you didn't really get to experience the why truly. The thing was, the mage of the valley in my campaign was constantly open portals. He was summoning creatures there because he did not want to be bothered. I mean, he was like a super high level, 20th level wizard. And so he could protect himself and the valley elves, elves of the valley. That's what we used to call them, the valley elves. But he had magic that kept them away from his little town. But the rest of the forest was just teeming with horrid beasts. and he tended to summon less intelligent creatures because he didn't want them setting up machinations against him.
Right.
But you could walk in this forest and you could run into a T-Rex, and then you could go a little bit further and you can run into a Garistro demon, which is a big colossal demon. You're like, what is that doing in this forest? And it's just bounding around, attacking these antelopes, and like sees you, goes, oh, you look tastier, And so, I remember I told the players, I was like, look, you go in there, I don't care what level you are. You're going to see some, if you decide to go at third level, okay, but I'm not taking the Garistro off the table.
Right.
you
Right.
know. But I mean, that's not terribly exotic, but it's at least an interesting place.
Sure.
And so let the players have a chance. You guys had a chance to go there. You often decided not to.
Often.
I would say create memorable NPCs that players get attached to, and then kill them. I think, and what I mean by that is, and kill them in quotations. I mean, do something bad to them. Make someone, a really cool, like you guys meet a halfling guy. He's a thief, but he's not a bad guy, and he helps you guys out. He does something. He gets you the key that will help you get into the locked mausoleum where the vampire lairs, and he does it just out of the kindness of his heart. So he's a thief with a heart of gold. He's always helping you guys out. He's not powerful, but you guys kind of, you're like, oh man, we like this little guy. And the next thing you know, you're like, no one's seen so-and-so at the Silverfish Inn. Like, he's always hanging out there. Why is he not there? And so the players will you don't have to do anything. It's like, as soon as you say that, like, what? How come little Tommy's not around anymore? Some players, like, we need to find out what's wrong with this guy. Because we need to find out what happened to him. He's been our buddy. So you got to do stuff like that. Now, you could kill him, but it's much better if they can rescue him, or maybe something's happened to him. Maybe all of a sudden he's doing evil stuff. He's been, dominated by some wizard. I think this is a big one, and I don't think since the 3rd edition era,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think WotC does this. I don't think Paizo does this. And I'm sure people can call in and counter it. They don't create challenging opponents, quote unquote monsters, and play them as they should be. Take the kid gloves off, and I'm not saying you have to cheat to let the player. You don't cheat to beat the players, but if you're playing a 25th level Archmage who's lived for eons, and the players just roll up and decide to fight him in his keep and don't really prepare themselves, he's going to have contingencies. He's going to have fail-safe plans. He's going to have monsters prepared, and if they've been a thorn in his side, he's going to put a hurting on them.
Oh yeah.
Don't be afraid to cast Disintegrate, to call back to last week.
Right.
Don't be afraid. He's going to do it. And and I'm sorry, you failed your save, guess what? You're dead. What? Well, yeah, dude, he's scary, and you knew that. I think you have to let him know a little bit beforehand. Every so often, try to surprise him, especially your Joes and your Phillips, your experienced and jaded players. Little Miss Lady Marion that come to talk. Oh, she's being all sultry. She's Jessica Rabbit. She's not bad. She's just drawn that way.
Yeah.
And so she looks super sexy, but she ain't trying to, and she's not lying. She ain't on the Western Front trying to steal your people. She just needs some help because the Orcish army is coming after her on the other side, and you're fighting, the hobgoblins to the east. So can I have a few of your dudes, and I need a little extra help. And she's really not what she appears to be. And I'm going to make her look really suspicious because she doesn't trust Butch. She doesn't know him. So maybe she naturally puts on a little charm, puts on a little airs, and Joe's like, ooh, you're up to something. Maybe she whispers to her confidant who's there, to her seneschal, periodically making Joe think, oh, she's up to something. She's like, yeah, I would like fries with that. And so, and Joe's like, in the end, like, oh, she's a pretty good. And then he finds out later on, after he finally gives in, she's a devout follower of, Paylor, and she's lawful good. And Joe's like, what? I'm like, well, she didn't do anything evil. And you're like, oh, good point. But she was acting all shady. It's because she didn't trust you. Your name is Butch, short for butcher.
Yes.
She thought maybe you were evil.
Well, to be honest, I always wait for the shoe to fall.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, but that's something you got to, or you have a devil that shows up and he's actually neutral good. That would surprise your players.
That would surprise me, and I would never believe he wasn't evil.
I know.
Ever.
I know. No matter what I did, no matter what happened. No, he's playing the long game.
It's about a time, man. They live thousands of years.
Yeah. Your character's on his deathbed. I still don't believe he's good.
No, you didn't. You're a liar.
Yeah. So I would also make sure any rules changes, if you do any, especially as a DM, they're stated up front. And I would say be flexible. And by that, I mean both the DM and the player. So if I decide I don't like counterspelling, I'm ditching it initially. Or I'm not going to run it the way the book does. Even if you're like, Randy's ideas sound dumb. Look, let's play with it. And I need to be flexible. Like, look, after I see it in play, I might agree with you. That was a good idea in theory. Joe was right. It was a poop idea. It totally nerfed the wizard. Not a good idea. Can we come up with something better? Or Joe goes, oh my God, my build is completely ruined. I can't believe I was going to be a counterspelling god. And I'm like, just play it out. And in the end, you might be a counterspelling demigod. It's not that bad.
Right. Well, and there's the thing. Yes, the DM there's a lot of good things that the DM can do to breathe life into their campaign, and make rule changes up front and all of that. But the players to level with the DM as well. The players need to be willing to say, hey, this is where I'm going with this character. If it's not kind of a standard, I just have a sword and shield and I go and kick butt. If you're doing something non-standard or weird, or we can tell as players when this is going to be an extremely big advantage once we get a couple of levels in and a couple of things kind of fall in place. We know that there's going to be a huge advantage. It's kind of like exploiting a video game. It's kind of the same thing. If you know that's kind of the way it's going to go, you should be upfront with that. And I try to do that with Randy.
Yeah, you're actually one of my better players for that.
I'm like, hey, I got this spell and I got these other 3 things, and this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, most of your monsters are going to die in the first round. Yeah. So just want you to know that. It's a will save, DC 46. We're playing 3rd edition, and I'm a 2nd level wizard, so most things will die. But I mean, especially in a game like 3rd edition where you can tweak. I mean, now, I guess for me now, I really appreciate that when you would do that. I had some players that would drop the surprise on me, which that's not the end of the world if you do it once. If you go, look, I have damage shield from Arcana Evolved by Monty Cook. Okay, that sounds good. And you're like, wham. I'm like, whoa. Well, I told you I had it. And I'm like, okay, so you do realize, yeah, it's awesome. Be willing to realize, once you surprise me and you get away with it, and you're like, I'll be like, okay, we need to both look at this and watch this. And if you're winning every fight because of damage shield and there's nothing that works, or at least nothing reasonable that works,
right?
You could do this one thing and have these series of feats, and then it wouldn't be as good. Okay, so everything has to have that now to get past damage shield? Yeah, pretty much. Damage shield's probably too good.
Yeah.
I mean, not that spell was all that. It was good, but I think it was called damage shield.
Yeah, it essentially gave you extra hit points that were relative, like regular hit points, and once you lost them, you lost them.
It was really good, but I mean, it wasn't like impossible. I mean, big creatures could knock that down pretty fast.
Yeah, 1 hit usually.
Yeah, critical. Be like, damage shield gone, and I took 10 damage. Oh, poop.
Yeah.
But those are just a quick list. Any of those things strike you as particularly really important? I mean, to make the world
make a villain's hateable.
Yep.
They're a villain, they might as well be hateable. And I know there's one, Beauregard.
Highgarden, yeah.
Highgarden.
You still need to get your vengeance, lay your vengeance upon him.
Yes, it's very much a loose end that we never solved.
And like I said, I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to say no, because I want to put a bow on that long campaign of Elysium.
Beauregard.
Yeah, put a bow. We started at Cabin Con. Our buddy Philip developed the world further, and we got this Elysium campaign. Then it transitioned to characters had to escape, the world was destroyed, and now there's some characters still running around the multiverse, and Beauregard was one of the NPCs that got away, and Joe's character Butch has a real hate on for that guy, and with just reason. I mean, Beauregard, he did you guys dirty multiple times.
Oh yeah,
a couple times you guys didn't even know about. He was behind a lot of stuff. So
yeah, he did. And the icing on the cake was that very last thing he did. I was like, I'm gonna stick my sword all the way through you.
Yeah, he's not terribly kind. And he started off with a bang by releasing that banshee on you guys when you were like 9th or 8th level. And lower than that, it killed half of your stable. It was pretty bad.
Now, did we figure out that he did that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if your characters know that, but the players did because we're like, well, because maybe not, because it goes all the way. He was the one that sent you on that adventure to get that. Remember, there was a little cube, a little box that was stuck in that wall way back when. But it's like Butch's first adventure.
Yes.
And there was that box that was a magical box was stuck, and you guys managed to get it out.
Yes.
And it opened a portal, but you guys shut it. And you thought, oh, cool. And I was like, there's a lot of magic in here. And then your little stable master dwarf guy was like, yeah, this is powerful, and I'm studying it. And that was all a setup.
Oh, it was a setup.
And
yeah.
He wanted the stable master guy to get it so he could be killed. He thought your stable would fall into disarray, and then he would swoop in and save you and take over. That was his plan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we elected a new stable.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, Red became the new stable master. Though my character Penty came really close.
Yes, it was close.
In his mind. He was cheated. All right. Anything else that was I think one thing that's tough that I wish players would do more, and I don't think I made this clear, says watch to see what is most interesting to each player. I wish players would watch other players sometimes and say, look, he likes this. Let me push for something, not all the time, but like, I noticed that Debbie, my wife, Debbie likes, Joe's like, I noticed Debbie likes to look under every nook and cranny. And here's a library. And she's like, oh, I look over here and like, yeah. And you're like, yeah, let's toss the room. Let's check this whole thing out. I don't trust this. And just do it so Debbie can feel, oh, cool. We're checking this crap out. I get to find everything. Let's go. We still haven't looked back, see if there's a secret door. And like, Joe, yeah, we should. We have absolutely good idea. Instead of like, come on, let's go to the next room. There's nothing here. That sort of thing. Not all the time, but sometimes,
throw a bone.
Yeah, throw them a bone. Even as another player, you can do that. Because you can sometimes get a little bit, not you, but a player can be like, I'm just worried about me getting my fun, cool stuff, and someone's like, I really want to show everybody how good I am at diplomacy. You have a chance to talk with this ruler. Oh, he's evil. Forget it. Let's go. Okay, let's give the cleric a chance to chat him up.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's
good. Yeah, players should work together like that.
Yeah.
Idea.
What do you think about number 4 on the DM list, creating the challenging opponents?
Oh yeah, like I was saying, what you were saying about 5th edition.
Yeah.
The game itself isn't too challenging.
I don't think so.
And not from my experience. Granted, it's small, but it seems like it's a common enough perception that the players have lots of ability to win.
Yeah.
And the monsters don't present a particular challenge in general. There's probably some exceptions, and there's things that the DM can and should do.
Yep.
I mean, it's nice to be able to flex now and again, but if it's all of it, you're like, okay, I guess, but you do want a challenge.
Oh, it's a dragon, and we kill it in 2 rounds. Well, that wasn't very interesting.
Right.
It sounded good on paper, but no, he wasn't that tough. It was CR appropriate. I mean, but that comes now, to be fair, with 3rd edition, once it got long in the tooth, I mean, I'd already figured out the CR system was really just, even if you tried to follow it, you couldn't trust it. And they said it was more of an art than a science. There were plenty of creatures that would be like a CR4 that if you put them against a 4th level party, they're in for a world of hurt. Or they could be a CR6, like my party will kick the crap out of that. I mean, the fighter alone will kill that thing. So I think as a DM, to make that happen, sometimes if you want to try to play within a system where appropriate challenges, you have to know when to break the rules and to let things be a little bit tougher than they would suggest. And that takes time. That can't be fixed quickly. Anything else that stands out or something different? I'm trying to see what really stands out to me.
Oh, well, I mean, the stuff that matters, I mean, the stuff that that I pay attention to when I'm a player, we've already talked about. a lot. Having memorable and hateable villains, and being challenged at the table, and encouraging your party members to do their thing. Those are all important.
Those are big. I think that makes the game. Well, it's not just but to bring the world to life. I think the DM has to create those exotic locations, good PCs, bring challenges. Then you feel like it's. I mean, if you want your world to be an adventurous, exciting, dangerous place, then you got to do those things. I think sometimes as a DM, I find myself going down, like even last night, I get into like kind of role playing a character, and I can catch myself going down a rabbit hole, kind of explaining or letting a character, vicariously live through a character and say, oh, because of this, blah, blah, blah. And you ask a question, well, this is because of this thing. I mentioned something about some side comment that this waitress lady had experienced, and I went down a path, and I could kind of think, this is kind of cool to me. To the characters are like, and this is relevant because
right.
And that's part. I want to show off my creation.
Right.
That doesn't make it. I don't think that fully makes it vibrant, because to a player, like, okay, that's cool. So you have these blue plants that people can turn into a tobacco type product.
The better way, I think, is there's a phrase, show rather than tell. So instead of having an NPC, have exposition, you say, hey, can you find this stuff? Or I heard these plants are interesting over here. And then they find out through going and gathering them and doing stuff that what the interesting thing is.
You gather the plants, and then you come back to town, and you see a dwarf walking along, and he's smoking a pipe, and his lips are blue. And you're like, what's going on? And you're like, that's a weird smoke. And he goes, yeah, I'm smoking that stuff we just got. Yeah, it's great for pipe weed. Wow, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, and I can be guilty of exposition. I think that's the teacher in me. I want to explain all the time, and I think the world comes alive more when you show and don't know. Yeah. Anything else you could think of?
No, that's good. Pretty good.
That's a weirdly short main topic, but I figured we need. I knew we had a lot to say.
Yeah, and we had a weirdly long previous segment that makes this seem short by comparison.
Yeah, sure. Cool.
All right, so let's move on to like it, love it, or leave it.
All right. So you went first last time. I'm going to go first.
All right.
And I checked. I have on my list. I've kept a list of all the things I've asked you. I've been careful. So this should not be a repeat, even if it sounds like it. Okay. Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu.
I like it as okay. I like the stories, especially in audio.
Yes,
it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Most of the movies are trash.
Yeah.
There are a couple of exceptions, but not many.
Right.
The Reanimator, though it wasn't a great movie, it was a fun movie.
That does, yeah. That's significant distinction.
Right. And as far as playing in a Cthulhu type thing, that can be fun, but for like one shots, I don't know about long term, but one shots are good.
I'm not sure I would enjoy a Call of Cthulhu campaign if it was like 6 months or a year. I could probably play a short one, an adventure that took several sessions. Yeah, I'm with you. All right, a little different here because it connected to last week. Gygax or Arneson?
Oh, so it's a choice between the two. I don't know.
Mathematically, or the or statement means one or the other or both. So I'll allow that.
I think they were as far as like it, love it, or leave it.
Oh yeah. So
like
COC was like, and you say like, yeah.
Yeah, like as far as they were the ones that started our hobby, and so like them for that. Not on the level of worship though, like some folks are.
Right.
Whenever I hear the histories, I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder if it's actually true, because the guy's dead, and lots of people tell stories, and a lot of times tales grow taller in the telling, and sometimes people just make stuff up because they want to be relevant. So I always have a grain of doubt whenever
Yeah.
I hear that stuff, whatever it is.
Even when you watch something like Secrets of Blackmore, I hear people talk and I'm like, everybody's view of what things happen could be a little different. I mean, it's a lot of older people. If and I can't help it, if someone's older and they purported to be there, I tend to give their words a little more weight.
Sure.
But I don't know if they misrepresented or if they didn't see it the way it really was. That's interesting. Yeah. So Call of Cthulhu, Gygax Arneson are both alike. And you couldn't choose between them. Like if I said, do you have a preference? Who would you? Yeah. What about, this is completely different, The Strange RPG by Monty Cook?
Used to be love, now it's leave.
Wow, completely leave, huh? Yeah.
Mainly because the system is just kind of, I know people will want to quibble about it, but to me it seems inadequate or incomplete. There's something missing to it.
Yeah. Would you say that about, because it's based off the cipher system, that in general the cipher system has
It leaves a little left to be desired, I think.
Fair enough.
I don't, at first I liked it, but after playing it, I don't really like that what's essentially your hit points are also how much you can use your abilities.
Yeah, and your stats.
And your stats.
All your stats go down. Your strength goes down, your what's called might and intellect and body or something. I don't know.
Right.
But I don't know what the words, speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would say leave it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You got something for me?
Yes. Weed. As in marijuana weed.
Right. So I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'll take 2 tacks. I would absolutely, I'm gonna leave it for me. And I used to be like, it's bad, it's a drug, it's horrible, blah, poop, poop, poop. Now I think I like it because I have seen in my friends and some of my family members' lives, it has helped them medicinally. And so honestly, I like it well enough. I don't think there should be governmental control. I don't think it's a thing you need to worry about. It's very natural. And it seems to have some, at least, pain relieving qualities. And the part about getting high and stuff, yeah, I could definitely leave that. But hey, to each their own. I don't think you're hurting anybody.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Speed limits.
Hate them. Leave them.
Get
out of my way. Get out of my way. Don't slow me down. I got places to go.
Got places to be.
I mean, I really don't like them because I think look, I think it should be drive safely. I mean, I'm not looking to hurt people and to be stupid. I don't need them to tell me you can't go 95 down a street past the school. That's idiotic. That's driving dangerously. But I get, we want rules and we want laws. And when people want things on the book, here's what happens. You have unintended consequences. He's going 31 to 30. Cops having a bad day. He's pulling him over, getting him a ticket.
Right.
Or if they have the little 5 mile per hour window, which everybody thinks, I think it's a non thing. I don't know. I should ask my cousin who's a cop, but 5 miles an hour, they give you a little leeway. 6, you're pulled over. I mean, I had a cop one time. I remember I was living in Ohio, teaching at Miami of Ohio. And I was going for a final exam. I was teaching one of the regional campuses. And it was December 22nd. So 3 days before Christmas, snowstorm, but I have to get there. This is like mid 90s or maybe 90. No, must have been early 2000, like 2000, the year, 1999. And for sure, that was it. And I'm driving and I have to get to the class. It's a final exam and it's not like a sleet and horrible storm, but it's stormy enough. And I'm going down the street and I'm literally doing, I think 36 and a 30. And I get pulled over and I got a ticket for that. And I was just like, no one was out. There was no one out at all anywhere. And I was just like, really? I mean, I get it. I was breaking the law. I get it. But I wasn't driving dangerously. He goes, well, the roads are kind of bad. I'm like, there's no, it was like a 7 o'clock class in the winter. I'm like, nobody's out. But I didn't say that to him. I said, yes, sir. Okay. But I was really put off by that. Just, it wasn't a thing that needed to happen, in my opinion.
Right.
But you can't have rules like that. You can't. They don't seem to be able to function well if you let people have all that freedom.
Most
So,
of your traffic tickets are just an excuse to generate revenue.
yeah. Now, if I'd been going 50 down that street, maybe, because that's dangerous.
Yeah.
With the roads being slick.
If you want to call it revenue, that's a questionable term for it.
Yeah. Extra taxes, thievery.
Right. An odd last one.
Okay.
Killing all goblins.
Killing all goblins. Probably gonna have to say like it, though I want to love it.
Mhm.
I have to admit though, Joe, if I were a paladin and everybody gets in this situation, if I were a D&D dude for real, lived in a world, and we just murdered all these, no, take it back. We killed all these horrible, wicked goblins. And then we come to the nursery. And there's some little defenseless female nursemaid goblin and 3 or 4 little ones. I don't know if I could just strike them down.
Yeah, it would be difficult,
It
wouldn't
would
it?
be very difficult. I would be more inclined. I probably couldn't. I'd be more inclined, but you might argue that'd be the merciful thing to do, because you could say they're going to die if you leave them here. Little nursemaid can't fight, and those little goblins are defenseless. Some little creature is going to kill them. But if you believe that goblins are irredeemably evil, which mostly I do in the game, but in a world like that, I don't think I could justify that in my mind. I don't think I could kill them. But so I'm going to say like it. But that one scenario, which feels to a lot of people like that'd be a good discussion, because that's a classic, along with alignment and paladins being lawful good. That's a classic conundrum. So I'm going to say like it, but lean toward love it.
The reason I put that in there was because there's this low key meme going around about I can't remember precisely what started it, but it had to do with goblins.
Yeah.
Some game designer said something.
Mm-hmm.
These hashtag memes started circulating, not to a large degree, but stop the goblin hate and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I made a Twitter post and got a tiny bit of traction on it, but about it. And I proposed the counter hashtag of kill all goblins.
Yeah, it's a little. I'm trying to think. What is that anime? The abridged one? Is it Goblin Slayer?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That is straight up hilarious.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you should watch. There's like 5 or 6 episodes. It's just funny, and it's not the actual. They show the actual anime, but they do voiceover funny stuff in a short version of it. It's pretty funny. It gets a little risque at one point, but it's pretty funny.
Right.
All right. Cool.
Let's move on to playing in the mud.
Yeah.
And this is all going to be you, because I didn't.
You didn't get to play. I know that was a bummer. Joe wasn't able to make it. And so I think I'd mentioned last time in this next game, one of my plans was to experiment. Hold on a second. Okay. Sorry, I got to watch my, you know why. You might want to cut this out. Okay, anyway, sorry, it's good. I wanted to test with Mud Sword undead turning and spell saves. And as it stands, you get a bonus for your race on a type of save, and you get a bonus on your class for a type of save. As written, I noticed last night that a human something has less of a bonus. So currently, the bonuses on your saving throws are a big advantage for demi-humans at the beginning. But I thought the saves were tough. They made several. And even one was a save or die with a penalty. But the player made the save.
Penalty at low level?
Yeah, and they had to get a 15 on the die, and they rolled a 17.
Wow.
Mr. Larry's character made it. So anyway, I think the saves, I'm going to stick with the single save, and I didn't modify with ability score. I almost feel like if I modify with ability score, it might be too good, but maybe not. Maybe it'll be fine. So I think when you play, Joe's going to have a group of people that are going to play this scenario again for me at some point. And I think I'm going to let you guys have the ability score modifiers on top of it. Yeah, and see how it runs out. So that was interesting. I thought the rogue I gave them that dirty fighter ability, which was basically 5e advantage. And I used it on the fly. I used disadvantage as well. I think I want that mechanic to be a part of Mud Sword, but not necessarily intrinsic. Just a few places where we use them. Not every little thing is going to be disadvantage or advantage.
Right.
The rogues seem very solid in combat if they had advantage. Though Mr. Larry might argue, he goes, the 3 times I had advantage, I missed every time. He rolled 2 7s one time.
Oh, well, yeah.
It happens.
And the other thing is you can't really base a lot of judgments off of a single round of play.
Fighters were solid.
Mm-hmm.
Very solid. Second level fighters, it's a second level adventure, were very solid, good hitters. No magic users in the party. We had 2 dwarf fighters, a dwarf cleric, and 2 halfling rogues.
Wow.
The cleric, and it could be because of the design of the adventure, looked pretty tough.
Yeah.
Jeffrey got a little combo on his cleric with a couple of his miracles, healed some people. Now he was about tapped out.
Mm-hmm.
But he did have like 4 or 5 miracle points to start the game. So that's 4 or 5 first level spells, first level miracles. That's pretty juicy.
Yes.
But I would say because of the party composition, he kind of saved the day a couple of times. It could have got ugly. I think I may have to, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to revisit the miracle points. Turning undead was nice, difficult. He made his 1 turn attempt. I think he made 1, and it was fairly challenging, and he made the roll, but it wasn't easy. I think that spell Holy Light I created is really, really good. So I'm not sure. I think I got to do some better writing in my rules. I had a lot of questions. There were only 2, Philip and Jeffrey were the only 2 that had played before, so they just fell right into place. But everybody else was new, and they were really struggling with some of my terminology. So I need to clean that document, but I know it needs cleaning up. I think I can see some clarity there. What else did I see? I would love to have seen a wizard there to see what would have happened. One of the players commented that if I really want a hard experience, we want a tough experience, want life to be gritty and deadly, they suggest I do death at 0. No rolling for rounds to get to people. I'm not sure how I feel about that because I had several people fall. I made my D3 roll. They got to them. Now, what I didn't like was Josh's character one time went down and Jeff went over and healed him. And I wasn't thinking about it, kind of doing the old school. He just popped up and attacked. And I was like, when you go down to 0, should you be able to just, what do you think?
Get the healing.
And bam, you're ready to go. I was 0 because we're not going below 0. Bam, 7 hit points. Hop up, stabby stab. Because he was right by the creature.
Well, it depends on what kind of feel you want. If you want it to feel more gritty, then you delay their jumping in to some degree. At the very least, following round. Wait till the following round to do anything.
Yeah, you can say you're not stunned, you're not at a disadvantage if somebody attacks you, not in the mechanics, but you're not getting a penalty, but you are getting your bearings maybe. Yeah. I think I kind of like that idea. Lose a round. Next round, you got to lose this round, get yourself up back in the fight, carefully get back into position, and then you can go next time.
Right.
So even if you're like, if you go down at the end of the round, then they start at the top and the cleric heals you immediately. You don't get to go round 2. You miss your next turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start. So you won't go last that round. You get skipped. And you got to wait to go last in the next round. That's what you're telling me, right? Because that would be missing your turn. Because you're not missing your turn if you're character 4 in a 4-person fight.
Mm-hmm.
Cleric, bad guy, wizard or fighter. Wizard goes down. Pow. Cleric goes first next round. Heals him. Then the monster goes. Then the fighter goes. Wizard's got to miss his turn, getting his bearing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. And you mentioned AOE spells. I want to work on that, but that's kind of my report. And I would say concerned about the cleric, not terribly so, because in the adventure at least, he seemed needed. You played the group at one time that had 2 clerics. That would have been pretty boss.
Oh yeah. I think just from hearing it, perhaps scale down on the miracle points.
Yeah.
That way, even if you can save someone from death,
Mm-hmm.
they're out of the fight. If you don't have real healing, they're out
Yeah.
of the fight, and then we'll have to.
Oh, that's interesting too. So if you get magical healing, maybe if you get brought back up by healing to positive hit points, then you got 1 round of getting your bearings. If you just get your wounds binded, you're out of the fight. That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to wait till the next fight or next scene to get your stuff back together. You got to get back healed up again. And yeah, that's not bad. So we could allow other characters, like your wizard could rush to the rogue's aid to stop him from bleeding out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't heal him, he's just out of the fight. He's conscious. He's not dead, kind of woozy. He can't fight. That's not bad.
Right.
I think, I may explore the idea of magic points or the miracle points being just your level. So at level 2, you have 2 instead of your wisdom modifier.
Right.
Because that would actually have been plenty. And then Jeff would have had more decisions. He had like 10, you know how I have that lay on hands ability the lawgivers had. And I really am feeling like in the game, I'm calling them lawgivers, and priests, they're different. A lot of priests don't have access to magic like the Templar clerics do. And I may in the game end up calling them lawgivers.
As the class name?
As the class name. If you like them being, I kind of like them being this is where I like Professor Dungeon Master. I like them being specific, a thing. So clerics are clerics of Lohas. You say that, but no, that's really what clerics are. They're automatically Lohas. They don't. If you worship something else, you're something else. So lawgivers are Lohas, and they're the main character class you get to play in the game. Though we can toy with others later.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So, anything else on my report that you had comments on?
No.
So mostly positive.
Yeah.
The players thought it was tough. They were definitely kind of biting their nails at certain points, but they did a good job. So.
I mean, that's really what you want.
Yes.
You don't want it to be, whatever. Orc, they're gone.
We did have a player not choose,
especially at low level.
And I won't call out who it was, but I'm sure it wasn't. It was like they was like really flipping about not buying food or any other things other than just a weapon with their money. And I'm like, okay, so it's been 3 days, you haven't eaten. I said, you got a 3-day trip. You got to eat. I'm going to give you penalties. And
we bought inferior weapons so we could have food.
Correct.
Yeah.
This person did not.
Oh,
but luckily this person had the means with the help of an ally to procure some food.
Oh, well, that's fine then.
But it wasn't through purchasing. But I was just like, and this person has never played much of an old school field game. I said, at low levels, it's going to be a resource management game.
Well, the other thing is this. You have a pile of money when you make a character, you're going to spend all of it on a weapon and armor, perhaps. And it's something that kills me about that is when you have a fighter, a typical D&D fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Player who creates it buys a sword, his armor, and nothing else.
Right.
And you're like, no bow, crossbow,
no bag, no flint and steel, no backpack,
no nothing, just his sword.
No bad roll.
That's okay.
Dude, I'm going to do things like I'm going to fast forward at some, because for playtest, I'm going to put you environmental hazards. It's snowy.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6 inches of snow on the ground. It's winter, and you're about to go do an adventure, and you guys head out without any gear. It's going to be frostbite. It's going to be bad, And so you gotta. I want that to be part of the low level game.
Yeah.
Unless you have spells that can help you out, then you better be prepared for that. And to me, because I want that feel. Now, When you're 18th level, or when you're 12th level, or 10th level, or 8th level, that may not be a concern because you can let magic do the trick. But early on, I don't want to hand wave that stuff anymore.
Right.
I think it's part of the game. I think we're losing a part of the game by ignoring that.
Oh, sure. Especially at low level. I
Mhm.
mean, it's not like I want to play his character for him, but
Yeah.
I don't have a problem pointing out bad decisions. The bad
Yeah.
decision is someone who's perfectly capable of wielding a missile weapon who doesn't purchase one, who could have. Now, with the rules in the game we have right now, it's not possible at first level to buy a sword and a bow.
And that's the way it used to be.
That's the way it
Think
used
about
to
it now. If you roll, we have even with 3d6, the old way of rolling times 10, you can get 30 gold pieces.
Sure.
And the way I have is D10 times 10 to a fighter. You can have 10 gold pieces. In fact, I'll say it, Larry rolled 20 gold pieces. And he couldn't buy armor. He had to buy other stuff. He was literally running with just his dex.
Well, we did stuff when we played the first game. We were all kind of gritting our teeth because we didn't have a whole lot of money, didn't have a whole lot of gear.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody had a missile weapon and a melee weapon.
No,
We found them in the
dungeon. And the group did do that, and they smartly grabbed the missile weapons and used them.
And I tell you what, I don't know if it was after the second session when we pretty much had a decent amount of cash. Purchasing equipment, just regular equipment, was kind of a power up.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, and like the first time you would get a suit of plate mail, you'd be like, "Ooh, baby!"
Yeah,
fighters, dude, check this out. You got a magic item? No, but I got plate mail, son.
Yeah,
I don't need no magic item. Ain't no orc hitting me now. I'm about to lay it down.
They won't.
Yeah. So yeah, that was cool. All right. So I think there's some changes. I want to get an equipment list. I am not happy with using the RC. I'm really not. It's a little.
Is it too bare?
No, it's not. Everybody has it, and it's a little harder passing around.
Oh.
I'm gonna photocopy the list, but I'm considering typing it up. I'm considering making our own list.
Okay.
So, but I do want to do the encumbrance. People seem to like it. Several players were actually tracking their encumbrance with the coin system. I do like that from the RC. It's just the RC is harder to get a hold of. It's not if you want to buy an actual copy, not from drive-through preprint, it's cost you $100. So no one wants to put that down for that thing.
Yeah, I put down 25 for.
Yeah, me too.
And
for the reprint or for the original.
It took almost a month for them to print it.
Yes.
And then
I did mine 2 years ago.
On the delivery cycle.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. I think that's all I got for the mud.
All right. So if that's all you've got for the mud, then that means that's all we have for the episode.
It does. We're gonna scoot on out of here.
Yeah. All right. So all of that being said, if there's nothing else left to report or talk about, remember the contest is being refreshed to 100 subscribers. We'll have a new giveaway once that happens, and we'll keep you guys apprised of the progress.
Yep.
With all that being said, if you'd like to support our show, please help get the word out and check out our website at biggestgeekspodcast.com/support. We're going to have a list of links and such in the show notes. It's something new I'm putting in so that it'll be easier for people to things.
Sweet.
Including our YouTube channel, Odyssey, and Twitter account and all that.
Cool.
So yes, check us out on Odyssey as well as YouTube. If you don't already have an Odyssey account, I'm planning on sending out an email to all of the folks that send us their email to ask them to get an Odyssey account if they don't already have one. It'll help out the show because there's an in-app currency that will allow us to be able to eventually stream to Odyssey as well as Twitch. We'll be able to do two at once.
Good.
Please rate us on your podcatchers, iTunes or not. And if you have any comments for us, send them to us at thegeeks@biggestgeekspodcast.com. Also, we have a bunch of things we like that we will share with you in links in the show notes. So please check that out.
Yeah.
Especially want to call out Legion of Myth. Oh, you said Legend of Myth.
Okay. In the link, it's Legion.
Legion of
The
Myth.
Legion. The Legion is legend.
Right. I'll have to check out and make sure I didn't carry that over
Okay.
as a typo.
The link is right.
The link is right. The text is wrong. But yes, Legion of Myth is a YouTube channel, and they are catching up on their podcast. They extract audio and turn it into a podcast. They're primarily focused in YouTube, though.
Yeah.
So please check them out. They're helping us out a lot with reach and helping us grow.
Oh, and Gatekeepers 1. Check that episode out too.
And
kind of a share.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, Gatekeepers 0. I believe.
It was 0. My bad.
0 episode. I think this is called 0.
Okay, makes sense. It's on session 0.
It's on session 0. Yeah. So there's that. And this is Joe.
And I'm Randy.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.